Tyler Holt, first pitch swing, skies it to center. Buxton battling the sun. He's got it. And the Cardinals drop a series in Minneapolis. A hard-fought affair. But in a battle of bullpens today, Mark, it was the Twins that came out on top.
Yeah. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Audio courtesy of Cardinals TV. Cardinals lose over the weekend 2 out of 3 against the Minnesota Twins. I think the two of you said they'd sweep. I said 2 out of 3. It didn't go that way. The offense was outstanding. You couldn't have asked for a whole lot more. The bullpen was less than great. And the rotation outside of Michael McGreevy, also not great over the weekend. Like 4 1/3 from Libby, gave up 4 earned runs, like 5 innings out of Kyle Leahy as well, gave up the 4. Just not good enough on the pitching side of things, Alex. You expect more. I will say this, Byron Buxton, you have my attention. Oh my God, what a weekend for that guy. I feel like he only saw 10 total pitches over the weekend and somehow had 10 hits. I don't know how that's possible, but I'm pretty sure that's the final line for Byron Buxton over the weekend. That guy needs to play for a contender before his prime is over.
Royce Lewis was the one for me, and somebody brought him up when you and I were doing the show about putting him at third base, and I was like, yeah, I'll take that, but Minnesota's not going to want to move that piece.
He was as bad as Nolan Gorman was prior to his sit-down, though. So
and now he, dances in the box and somehow gets hits.
And he finds ways to make hits and come up with plays. He runs the bases. I liked everything about what I saw, but he was a first baseman the whole weekend. So.
Yeah, he's not a guy that you're excited about playing in the field, but if he hits like that, you live with it. Alex, what'd you see from the bullpen? Because people are mad. People are big mad today. They want to see changes. It's time to fire some guys into the sun because the way that this is going right now, it just ain't working. You saw JoJo, Soriano, Stanek, Graceffo. They all had rough weekends for you. Riley O'Brien nearly gave it up in the one game that he appeared in. What'd you see from the bullpen over the weekend? What'd you take from it?
I mean, they blew the weekend for you because, as T-Bone mentioned in the office, and he's right, you score that amount of runs in all 3 games, you should have swept that series against Minnesota. But, I mean, call me crazy. I'm not too panicky about it yet because, it felt like at some point your bullpen was going to have just a bad weekend. And you look at the numbers of run through of how consistent all of these guys were individually, like Stanek, Graceffo, Soriano, those 3, even Romero. When those 4 took the mound, you feel comfortable with it. And all 4 of them went out there and they gave up just bad outings. So, yeah, that was a bad weekend for the Cardinals bullpen. It was bound to happen at some point. You can't be as good as you've been all season and just continue for the rest of the year. But I do understand Cardinals fans frustrated with that because that's another series you probably should have won. You probably should have swept this one. And the excitement surrounding this Cardinals team is, well, hey, this team's doing something nobody expected. And if your bullpen starts to become leaky, well, then, yeah, you got to make changes. My question to anybody says that, though, is what changes are you making? You don't have a whole lot in your minor league system that's just dying to get to the major leagues. There's a couple, but they're unknown commodities. I've never seen it at the major league level.
I would add this. It's not changing what you saw over the weekend.
No.
You're going to see JoJo, Soriano, Stanek, and Graceffo. Yeah. Those guys aren't going down. You're not flipping them for somebody that's coming up at the major league level. You probably get rid of Roycroft, which would have helped you. But he appeared in the game that you won, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That was
and
the
he
one
saw
game.
The minimum and they went, get out.
Yeah. If they get rid of him, if they DFA him, and it's not even like a 40-man move anymore, he's just gone. And maybe some other team takes him on. Great, appreciate it. And you can go to Luis Gastelum. I'm sure that's the name that we're going to get on the text line. I'm fine with that. I've got no issues with it whatsoever. In fact, I'm in favor of it. I would co-sign that move today. But over the weekend, your problem was JoJo Romero blew up. Graceffo, who had been great, Alex, great, had a bad weekend. Stanek had a horrific night, like a truly awful night. And Riley O'Brien has run into some issues lately. But prior to that, Soriano had allowed 1 earned run, which came on a homer in his last 9 innings. Stanek had allowed 3 earned runs all in one game, one other blow-up outing, in his last 9 innings. Graceffo had allowed 1 earned run on a homer in his last 10 innings. So those 3 guys combined in about 30 innings had allowed a total of 5 earned runs. That's fine. The bullpen had been extremely good. And then they had a bad weekend. So I'm not panicked whatsoever. If this continues, yeah, it's something that we will absolutely have to discuss, and they will eventually have to make some moves to bolster that area of the roster. But I'm not overly concerned about the bullpen coming off of this weekend when they all stunk, and there's really nothing you can do about that. Sometimes you have a blow-up weekend. It happens even to the best teams in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I'm not concerned either, but I do find it interesting that the Cardinals came out of that series kind of, I don't know if sounding the alarm bells is the right call, but pointing to the fact that they want to make some changes. And I think part of that, because to your point, if you call up a Gastelum, odds are he's not slotting into like the 8th inning there, and he's replacing the role of like O'Brien or Soriano or Romero. But I do find it interesting because those were the arms that blew up, that they're still looking at it saying, hey, maybe we need to make some changes. And I think part of that thought process for them is if you look prior to the weekend, since the start of May, the bullpen had a 2.9 ERA, 5th best in baseball. That sounds pretty good. And then you look at the expected ERA, and the expected ERA was not as good. It was all the way down to a 4 ERA, and they ranked much lower, 25th in baseball at 4.51. So I think they're seeing that and looking at some of the underlying metrics and saying it's time for a change. I think it's a blip on the radar, but I think the way that they're talking makes it sound like there's a little bit more of concern here.
I just don't know what you do. Like, okay, you're going to make some moves. You bolster the bullpen. Maybe you're bringing up Max Rajic, you're bringing up Luis Gastelum. Those are two right-handed pitchers that are coming up to help you. Okay, cool. Great. One of those, you're sending down or DFAing Chris Roycroft. What are you doing for the other? What's the plan here?
I'm guessing optioning Graceffo or Swanson would be my guess.
Swanson's been fine since
Graceffo's been one of your better ones, regardless of that bad weekend. He's been one of your better pitchers.
And the underlying numbers, as we've talked about all year, are not good for Gordon Graceffo, but the real numbers, the stuff that's actually happened, which does matter to some degree, they've been great for Gordon Graceffo. So I don't think that really changes the look of your bullpen if you make those moves. But with the one caveat of, if you fire Chris Roycroft into the sun, I'm not overly concerned about that one.
But here's the other thing.
That one's fine by me.
I think you mentioned this. Like yesterday, for example, neither Rajic or Gastelum are going to see that game yesterday that blew up on you.
No.
It's JoJo Romero, it's George Soriano, it's Riley O'Brien. It's one of those three guys. So you're not changing anything that happened this weekend. Your main 4 guys that they're going to turn to if a game is tight are still going to be the same ones. You're just replacing Roycroft or Brule or any of these other guys, which we all fired him into the sun.
Who are you bringing up? What's your left-handed option?
I don't know. I don't even know.
You have one. It's Jared Schuster.
That's
I'm not bringing up a lefty.
That's
I'm bringing
the
up
only
a righty.
lefty currently in the bullpen at the AAA level. Other than that, you've got Bryson Motts, who could come up and help you in the bullpen, but I don't think they want to give up on him as a starter.
What I want
Quinn Matthews, who could come up and help you in the bullpen, but I don't think they're giving up on him as a starter either.
You know what I want? A guy that gets lefties out. Right-handed or left-handed. Gastelum, great against lefties. If he became your second quote-unquote left-handed specialist out of the bullpen, totally fine with it.
I'm good with that.
And I would add this, too. I agree. I'm not pushing back on this at all, but I think what the Cardinals would potentially tell you with their words would be, yes, Gastelum comes up now and doesn't slot into those high leverage situations. We think he's got the stuff that we will slowly start to play him into, that a month from now, you're having the conversation of him slotting into one of those back-end reliever roles, and that might be why they do it now, is bring him up here, start him off in low leverage, because if you look at some of the numbers, O'Brien's under the metrics, or under the hood metrics, don't look as great here of late. Yep. Same with JoJo Romero. So they may look at this and say, let's bring up a fresher arm, something new, see what it looks like for a little bit here in low leverage. And if Gastelum pitches well, maybe he becomes your next Matt Swanson, who started off in low leverage and then worked his way into high leverage.
I don't think anybody disagrees with anything T-Bone just said. I think the point, though, is like that's a projection forward versus a look back at what this weekend was. I don't think there was anything they could have done that would have fixed this weekend. This weekend was a matter of you had good arms, they blew up, and you hope it doesn't happen again. And if it does, then we'll look to fix it. And you look, maybe if Gastelum over the next couple of weeks is great, and you continue having these outings from Ryan Stanek, who, again, was really good over the previous 2 weeks, then you flip their spots in the leverage situations. If Graceffo, the regression hits really hard, and it's not just one outing, but now you start to see those expected numbers, they become actual numbers for him, well, then maybe you flip him with Max Rajic and you send Graceffo down to work on some stuff the way that you just did with Swanson, and you hope he's able to figure it out at the AAA level. Like, there are ways that they can go about this that would make some sense, but for right now, it was a rough weekend. It was super frustrating to watch. It sucked, but to me, my bigger takeaway from the weekend was what you saw out of Libby and what you saw out of Kyle Leahy. Those two guys were not good enough for you. You needed more out of both of them. and they're trying to get him through that third time in the order. And for both of them, it is not working right now. Those are actual issues that I don't know how you fix it. The bullpen, they can get this thing figured out, and they had been great. Those two guys, you need more out of them. Otherwise, you continue to put more pressure on the bullpen, and that's when you have to go to Chris Roycroft. That's when you have to go to Brule, and that's when you have to end up using JoJo Romero more than what you'd like, which leads to them getting into a spot where Ryan Stanek has to come in to face more lefties than what you'd be comfortable with the way that they did on Friday night. So to me, the bigger storyline on Friday and Saturday was what you got or what you didn't get, frankly, out of your two starters. They need more length out of those guys. And I'm the last person to say all of your starters have to go 6, but they're going to need them to be able to get deeper into these games because their pitch count was not exceedingly high. They just lost all of their effectiveness once they got later into the baseball games. And that has become a consistent theme for those two in particular.
Yeah, we've talked about Leahy in the past. That, I mean, it's just concerning by the time you get through that first order once, it starts to get a little bit scary with Kyle Leahy, and I think that just plays into what he is and what we know he is. You did the experiment. It looked like it worked, and now I think it's starting to turn back into, I think he's just a really good bullpen arm, which is not a bad thing to have. I understand why they're doing it, and he's done the job that you need, and that's just give a little bit more opportunity for your pitchers in the minor leagues to get more development, but I do think you're getting to the point where Leahy's turning into that bullpen arm. And then Libby, it's the one thing I said at the beginning of the season. It's like, I want to see what this looks like as the season goes on, because last year he started to fade down the stretch and fatigue set in, which was understandable. I don't know if this is fatigue setting in, but he's just not somebody that I trust to keep the game tight from start to finish. He's one of those guys that the longer you keep him in, the tighter the butt cheeks get of, this thing could get ugly quick.
Last thing from the Cardinals weekend, and we'll talk about this, I promise you, plenty more throughout the day today alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. Hot damn, Blaze Jordan. What a weekend. We all said before the game on Friday, we did not anticipate a move coming that would send down Nolan Gorman and bring up Blaze Jordan. We talked about the issue that they had, but we all thought it would take a little bit more time. Maybe they do that whenever they return back home here to St. Louis. Well, they got aggressive. They made the move. They made the switch. I'm heartened that they decided to do it as quickly as they did. I think it showed some aggressiveness, and they've, at every turn, showed aggressiveness at overhauling this roster. They did it with Jimmy Crooks. They did it with Victor Scott and Nathan Church. Now they have done it with Blaze Jordan, flipping his spot with Nolan Gorman. This was a runway season, but only to a certain point. And Chaim Bloom says, hey, if somebody's kicking down the door down at AAA and you're not producing up here at the major league level, we will make the switch if that is what we deem to be best for our short and long-term goals. And they clearly decided that that was the case for Blaze Jordan. He was awesome over the weekend, was more productive in those 3 games than Nolan Gorman has been in his last 15 games combined. Literally, more RBIs and more hits over his last 3 games, Blaze Jordan, than what Nolan Gorman had in his last 15 games combined.
Ouch.
Damn.
No wonder why he's enjoying the Memphis barbecue right now.
Yep. Yeah,
That'll do it to you.
Alongside
Good
Alex
stuff,
and T-Bone on BK, in 15 minutes, we'll talk a little bit about the NBA Finals. An unbelievable finish to an incredible series. We'll get into that in 15 minutes. You guys can get involved in the show at 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line. And on YouTube at youtube.com/101ESPNSTL. Carolina just did something that we haven't seen done in like 40 years. Are they going to be remembered as an all-time great team? We'll get into that next year on 101 ESPN.
And they're going to clinch it appropriately with a total team effort and a shutout. The Carolina Hurricanes have won the Stanley Cup for the second time.
That's what it sounded like on ABC last night. The Hurricanes shut out the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0, win the series 4-2. Alex was correct. Alex predicted this prior to the start of the postseason, said, I believe that the Carolina Hurricanes will come out on top. And I said, Alex, they always fail. That never works out.
They do when Florida's in the playoffs.
They always find a way to lose, especially in the conference finals. They will screw this thing up one way or another. Not this time, Alex. What changed? Why was this year different for Carolina?
I mean, for me, one, the Panthers weren't in it. And I know that's kind of cruel to say, but I think this team loses to the Florida Panthers because the Panthers play the same style that the Carolina Hurricanes play, and they just do it better than them. But why did it work on this one? I give all the credit to Rod Brindamore for making the goalie change. I think the decision to go away from Frederik Andersen is what saved them the playoffs. Now, it was speculated that he was injured. I know his agent passed away, Claude Lemieux, so that probably weighed heavily on him. But they went with the decision, and Bussy stepped in and did the same thing that happened back in 2006 when Cam Ward won him the last Stanley Cup. So I think the way the Carolina Hurricanes operated is it's a entire team that wins, much like when the Blues won the Stanley Cup. But they won by just completely wiping away what Vegas does best, and that's transition hockey, forcing turnovers. Carolina stopped forcing turnovers. They just stuck with what worked and showcased their physicality, and it paid off for them. So the Hurricanes deserved this one. But to me, I think the Carolina Hurricanes, they were the best team in this postseason. They were the best team all season, or one of the best teams all season. I also look at this and say, yeah, but if Florida was in the postseason, I don't know if they make it to the Stanley Cup final.
For me, it's just how deep they were. It reminded me of the 19 Cup run from the St. Louis Blues, how deep they were, and defensively, to your point on how they were able to kind of shut down the Vegas Golden Knights. And I think the thing that helped them most, and they kind of made reference to it on the broadcast yesterday, was the fact that they barely played in the playoffs. And what I mean by that is they just bulldozed through everybody. I think they went, 16-3 in the playoffs this time around.
They didn't lose a guy to injury in this whole postseason.
And they had like weeks off in between series. Meanwhile, by the time we got to Game 5, you could really tell Vegas looked like a team that was tired, having to go through the gauntlet of the Western Conference. I think that was a huge deal for this Carolina Hurricanes team. The fact that they were fresh, and then they had an identity, and they can roll 4 lines the entire game was huge.
Yeah. I think a lot of it was the path. I don't know if that makes me sound like a complete hater. Maybe. Like, Ottawa wasn't a great team this year.
No.
Ottawa fans were ready for that season to end. Philly was a great story, but that wasn't a team that was ready to win. And Montreal, I think, is kind of similar. That's a young core that I believe will be back to where they were this year, but they weren't ready to win at that level just yet. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, this Carolina team, man, they've been building to this point. And so, yeah, they're going to run roughshod over the Eastern Conference. And then they finally got to the NHL Stanley Cup final. Vegas was very good. But do you think Vegas would have come out of the West in most of the recent seasons?
No.
I agree.
No.
They did not have good goaltending. I don't think they were as deep as even like the last Vegas team to win. Their stars are great, don't get me wrong, but they're not as deep as they were in the past. It's just not the same caliber of teams that we have seen in recent seasons at the Stanley Cup final. And so I was going to ask you guys, like, by record, this is going to go down as an all-time great playoff run. Mm-hmm. The Carolina Hurricanes lost 3 games the entire postseason. The last time that we saw that take place was 1988 when the Edmonton Oilers went 16-2-1 in the postseason and ultimately won the Cup. So it's been nearly 40 years since a team had 3 or fewer losses on its resume on their way to winning the Stanley Cup. By virtue of resume, that should indicate this is an all-time great run, an all-time great team that you will remember forever. This is going to be a Stanley Cup that I forget.
Yeah.
If I'm just being totally honest with you, I will probably, if you go back through, like, hey, who won the Cup and when, I can remember most of them over the last 15 plus years. This is one that'll be like the White Sox winning the World Series, where everybody just kind of skips over it. It happened. It was real. I remember it, but it's the one that's least memorable around that time.
What's ironic about it is it's going to be exactly like what it was the last time the Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup. You kind of forget, like what I remember most about that Stanley Cup final was who they played against. That was Tampa Bay. And so like you forget about those things. So the difference with what you're talking about with all of those teams in the all-time great run is look at what the Oilers did in the 80s when they won that in 88, the Islanders in the 70s, the Canadians in the 60s. That wasn't just one Stanley Cup run. That was dominance every single year to where they'd win it 3 out of 4 or 3 straight years. And the Hurricanes, I don't know if they can do that. Again, for me, I think if the Florida Panthers were in this postseason and healthy, I don't think Carolina beats that team. Because
I think if Colorado was healthy in the postseason, they would have beat this team.
I think if Gary Bettman would stop being an old man and put it 1 through 8, I'm not sure that they could have gotten through either Colorado, Dallas, or Minnesota if one of those were able to prevail.
I thought those were the 3 best teams that the NHL had offered. Carolina doesn't have to apologize
was the best
for this.
team in the East, though, and I give them that.
Most people would say the year that the Blues won, they were not the best team.
Right.
They don't have to apologize. They got to raise the Stanley Cup over their head, and they earned that right.
100%.
Carolina earned this with the way that they played in the postseason, so they apologize for nothing, nor should they. But, like, from a neutral observer, I did not think they were one of the 3 best teams this season. I thought the Western Conference had better teams to offer than what Vegas ultimately was in the end, and they didn't get there because of injuries, which is part of hockey. You know, that's part of what makes it so difficult to be able to win this cup.
Well, and I will say, too, like, the style they play is what can win in the playoffs. It's just you have to stay healthy and you have to do it the right way.
It's a boring brand,
It's a boring brand, but I mean, like, eliminating the other team's best players. Like, John Tortorella didn't know how to coach that series because when his best guys were taken away, he just stuck with the same line combination and wouldn't go with it. And, like, to look at how Carolina operates, we've talked about the Rod Brindamore system, but, man, if you go look at the top 2 players in terms of ice time on their defensemen, their difference is about 30 seconds per game. It's Keandre Miller, who averaged about 24 minutes, and then right below him was Jacob Slavin at 23 minutes. They've got 6 defensemen that play in every single scenario, whereas you look at Vegas's top guy is Shea Theodore, who plays 25 minutes. The next closest defenseman per game is Rasmus Anderson at 22 and a half. So, like, they've got a guy who eats a lot of minutes that they need on the ice in every scenario. Carolina can put 6 guys out there at any situation because they all play the same style. But when you play that way, you can eliminate other teams' best players, but you got to stay healthy, which is luck, and you also have to not make mistakes. And they made mistakes in the early portion of the series, and then they finally got back to that perfect hockey, and they eliminated it.
And the reason you play that way is because you don't have superstars, right? Like, I mean, as much as we want to talk about, like, it's the depth, and you need that in the playoffs, what we're really saying is you don't have a guy that you can really rely on, right? Like, Vegas shortened their bench because why wouldn't you put Eichel and Stone out there on the ice more? And I think that's part of the reason this cup run is going to be forgettable is – sure, they had a dominant run. They've had a pretty good run over the last 4 years, but there's no superstars on it, right? So it becomes forgettable. Like you mentioned, the last team to do it was the Oilers in the 80s. Yeah, they had that guy named Wayne Gretzky that everybody talks about and knows because he's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time.
And as Alex mentioned, they were on like a 5-year run at that point
exactly.
of being the most dominant team in the NHL.
They also had like 5 other Hall of Famers on their team.
And that's why, like, I don't know that Carolina can, A, sustain this, and B, it's why it's going to be forgotten is they don't have any superstars on the team. If they had like a Jack Eichel, if he flipped teams and he was on Carolina, or honestly a Mitch Marner who played pretty well outside the last 2 games, the team becomes a little bit more memorable, right? Because then you're talking about a superstar that's on the Carolina Hurricanes. They just don't have that guy that people are going to remember.
I mean, Stahl won the Conn Smythe. Now, I think it should have been Taylor Hall, frankly, but whatever. I understand the story. It's really cool for Stahl to be able to get it, but that speaks to this. A really good player, don't get me wrong, but scored, 12 goals in the regular season and wins the Conn Smythe. That speaks to what we're talking about here. This is the first time since, I don't even know, would it be the LA Kings last one, where I did not feel as though the team that won the Stanley Cup is about to go on an extended run. Because I felt that way about Florida. I felt that way about Vegas, potentially. I felt that way about Colorado. Tampa did do that. Maybe Washington?
Yeah, I was because I think the Kings, I thought it because they had Jonathan Quick. Quick was the one where it was like, when you got a goalie that good, it's like, okay. Yeah, I would probably say Washington because I didn't think Washington was going to be able to keep doing what they were doing.
Ovi was kind of old at that
Their
point,
team was older.
A decade later, and he's still considered to be old, but yeah.
Their team was older, though. Like, yeah, I would say probably Washington because even the Blues, I mean, I think the NHL thought that the next couple of years they were going to be tough to deal with until the Pietrangelo stuff happened.
Probably some skepticism just because of it took, a firing of a coach and a goaltender that came out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
But then, once that season started, you could see right away, okay, this team's a dominant team that if it wasn't for COVID, who knows what happens.
Yeah, Washington, because even prior to LA, Chicago, I think, was one that we all saw that was going. It's rare. Boston was one that I think a lot of people, when they won in 2011, you thought that was going to go on some type of run.
And this could be proven incorrect, but right now the feeling that I got watching that was this is their last best chance to win it, because I think the rest of the league is coming. And I don't get the sense that this is going to be something that Carolina is going to be able to maintain at the same level in the future.
Well, playing this style too, it's hard to do when you have 2 months off and go right back at it. That's how you can't stay healthy for an entire 82-game schedule.
Last thing on this before we get to the NBA Finals, which ended over the weekend as well. I think Spurs fans are, they've got to be feeling it today. I was reading a piece by Shayna over at The Athletic earlier today, Alex, and she wrote about some of the lessons that other teams should learn from the final 4 teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. And her lessons were, it's hard to win in this league. Yep, agreed. The blueprint for a quick but measured rebuild is the Montreal Canadiens. I think we've talked about that a lot, Alex, and how they did it and what the Blues could follow through with on that. Write your own narratives, basically saying, hey, Mitch Marner was written off by Toronto, and he was one of the best players this postseason. It was clearly not necessarily a Mitch Marner problem so much as a Toronto problem. And then finally, and this is the one that I wanted to ask you about, know your identity and how to build on it. And this was specifically about the Carolina Hurricanes, which is, hey, they've built to a specific identity, which is in the mold of their head coach, Rod Brindamore, and they have been doing that for about a decade now, of trying to get over the top. And they get close, they get close, they get close. They keep hitting this glass ceiling, but they keep pushing toward that same goal. And they don't just completely abort their mission because they weren't quite able to get over that hump. And now finally, of course, they have. They built to their identity. That does not mean everybody has to build to the Carolina Hurricanes identity in order for this to work. Florida's identity was quite different. Vegas's identity is quite different. What's the Blues' identity that they're building toward?
I think it's similar to Carolina's identity, to where you're 4 lines deep. And I think the bigger thing with Carolina is 6 defensemen that all play the same style. Because I saw a video today going back to Eric Tulsky describing the trade conversation of when they acquired Keandre Miller, who led their defenseman in ice time this postseason. And that was the guy that they got from the New York Rangers. And in the video, he said, look, Keandre Miller does everything our other defensemen do. He skates. He's good in his own end. He moves the puck well. He will fit in like a glove with our team. And they did so. So the identity of the Carolina Hurricanes, to me, is having forwards that just are relentless on the puck. And that's identifying those players like Logan Stankoven from the Dallas Stars, like Jackson Blake, who they drafted in the 3rd round, who had a huge goal in that series, and then Nikolai Ehlers, who they said, we'll pay top dollar for this guy because he plays the two-way style and he's very responsible on the ice. But on the defensive side, there's 6 players deep. They can have 6 guys out there for 20-plus minutes, and it doesn't matter. So to me, what the Blues' identity is eerily similar to how Rod Brindamore coaches this team. Relentless on the puck in the offensive zone, very strong defensively, and have 6 mobile defensemen. And the question is, can you build that? And I think it's hard to do that because you have to find the guys that can perform that way, that mesh well with the coach.
I think goal suppression is going to have to be their identity.
That's where I see they're closer to, especially on the defense. And look at the way Army's target defense. I don't know that I know what the identity is yet of the forward group. I mean, it could be tied into goal suppression, but I don't see them playing the physical style that Carolina played.
I just don't know that they have the dudes for it. Maybe they will. Maybe we're wrong on that. I'm missing it, but maybe
they got I think they got Holloway who does it. I think Snuggerud does it. It's just going to come down to what some of these younger guys do and what they do changing things. Because on the forward side, the guys that don't play that way are the ones we talk all the time about, right? Kyrou, Buchnevich.
We talk a lot about Kyrou.
I mean, even Thomas has his moments, but you have to do it consistently. Like, if you want to be what Jordan Staal or Sebastian Aho is, you got to play that way for 82 games. I found it funny. Somebody joked around saying that the normal teams are going to find, the identity of what Carolina did and how to mimic it is bet on upside for a lot of these players, like Carolina did with Stankoven and most of these guys. Most other people are going to be like, oh, let's go sign the old centerman who could go out there and be the grizzled vet in the playoffs, like Boone Jenner, and give him $7 million. Kevin Hayes as well. So
Yeah, learning the wrong lessons from the team that won.
There's always a team that learns the wrong lesson from a team that wins the Stanley Cup.
With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. The Spurs are never going to forget this series, but neither will the Knicks. We'll talk about both sides of that NBA Finals next year on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's BK. It was great to get out to Paymore in Maplewood last week for their grand opening, and we got to see everybody out there. I mean, it was the Maplewood mayor who came out for the Paymore grand opening. Yeah, it's a big deal that they are arriving in the St. Louis area. Paymore is a great spot for you to buy, sell, or recycle your old electronics. I went out there and saw a few different people that came through as we were out there for the grand opening, and they got paid real cash right there, ready to go for some of their old electronics. So if you have an old computer, phone, laptop, maybe a video game system that you'd like to take in today, see if you can get some cash for it on the spot. Go over to Paymore in Maplewood. You can also go there, and even if they don't have money for what you have to offer, maybe it's too outdated, there's not real value in it right now, they will recycle your electronics for you. So it's also a green option for you as well. So take out your old electronics to Paymore, whether you want to buy, sell, or recycle them. You can do that at Paymore today.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals fell to the Twins yesterday 5-4 as they dropped 2 of 3 in Minnesota. They go 3-3 on their 6-game road trip. They head home tonight as they'll take on the San Diego Padres for 3. 6:45 will be first pitch. Dustin May will be on the mound for St. Louis. And over the weekend, the New York Knicks were crowned NBA champions and the Carolina Hurricanes captured the Stanley Cup. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Seconds remaining. Fox to Wemby. Wemby tries a 3, puts it up, off the mark. Anunoby to rebound. It's over. It's over. Knick fans, this is not a dream. Your long, long wait has ended. Go ahead and cry. After 53 years, the Knicks are finally NBA champions once again.
What a story, what a moment, what a week for the New York Knicks as they have officially won the NBA Finals alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. Audio courtesy of ABC. Alex, the Knicks win at 94-90 in a game that I thought they had no business winning, which is the theme of the series. They had 3 of the largest comebacks in NBA history, NBA Finals history, that is. And they did them all in the span of a 5-game series, against the San Antonio Spurs. Are you going to remember this more for the Knicks winning it or for the Spurs blowing it?
Mine's going to be the Spurs blowing it. I mean, that's got to be the worst choke job in professional sports that I can think of. To give up that big of a lead in Game 4. And, I mean, to me, it was obvious. You give up that lead, you're not coming back from that. So
they were up double digits in this one in the first quarter.
But it just...
the Knicks didn't show up for the first 12 minutes.
You don't come back from that Game 4 because any lead you have, if you're the Spurs, is not comfortable, and you're always having the yips with that. So, yeah, I think I'm going to remember that more, especially when you're talking about Wembanyama, who is going to be an all-time great. But you're always going to remember that choke job until you win a championship.
Yeah, that's going to be a scarlet letter for Wemby the way that the Maverick series was for LeBron James, where you just remember it. It just stands out like a sore thumb because you're like, how did that happen? How did you... JJ Barea took you into the post, really? Like, that's what happened
least
there,
this
LeBron?
one, though, they weren't favorites, right? Because the Knicks were, or maybe they were, but it wasn't
a slight favorite.
Significant. Weren't the Heat like significant favorites in that series?
Yeah, that was a stunning loss for them. They were an overwhelming favorite. So there is a key difference there, but the Spurs losing it the way they did, not only were they favored coming in, they were favored in that specific game, and in individual games, they had like a 90+% chance to win, and I think 3 of their 4 losses in this series. And they found a way to lose all of them. So it's going to be memorable from that area. I will remember it more for the Knicks, though, because of the story. For them to be able to pull this thing off the way that they did by bringing in all of these key players. T-Bone, we were talking about it earlier today with all the Villanova guys that reunited on this roster. Just such a cool storyline. And for Jalen Brunson to be able to do what he did in this final game, I mean, he was the key for their turnaround. And I'm not just talking about this year, but just overall. Brunson is the guy that kind of ignited it all. And then in this series, he had not been good in the first couple of games. He did not play well. And then in the fourth quarter, you knew that guy's coming, though. That guy's going to have his moment. It was like the boogeyman who just, you can't kill him, man. In this game, the fourth quarter, he just took over. They had no way of slowing down Jalen Brunson. He was a more than deserving NBA Finals MVP. So that's what I'm going to remember it for, was Brunson, his heroics, the way that the Knicks were able to just continue to stay alive in these individual games. That'll be my lasting memory. And just the city exploding over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think I'm going to remember it more for the Knicks, and I think it's twofold. I think it's, one, the storylines that come with it, right? I mean, the Nova Knicks, as you had mentioned, the cool stories with the players that they have. Brunson playing on the same team that his dad's an assistant coach in, and the fact of the matter that when you look at that, the way that they're able to do it of their comebacks, like, you're going to remember the comebacks, not so much the choke jobs that occurred. And the other reason that I think that is, I also think Wemby at some point is going to get his. Now, if he doesn't, then maybe it becomes more memorable for the fact that this guy that could potentially become an all-time great player if he's able to reach his ceiling doesn't get a title and we look back at the blown opportunities in that Knicks series, then maybe I'll remember it more for the Spurs. But I think right now, and I think this will be how it plays out in the long term for me, it's going to be on the Knicks. Just the fact that they had the guys that played together in college, they became kind of household names playing in New York, and they ended such a long championship drought in one of the biggest cities in the world.
Brunson ultimately wins Finals MVP. Just an unbelievable story. This is a guy that won high school titles, went to college at Villanova, won 2 titles in his time there, including the final one where he was pretty clearly the best player on the team and one of the best players in the entire country, and then becomes a second-round pick. And second-round picks are... It's very different than other sports. Like, if you're a top 15 pick in the NBA, you're probably going to go on to become some kind of a role player at a minimum. And you're going to have a probably long and distinguished NBA career. When you're a second-round pick, there's no guarantees that you're going to make it to the NBA. Those contracts are non-guaranteed. A lot of those guys just go on to become G Leaguers, or they play overseas for the rest of their careers. So nothing was given in the NBA to Jalen Brunson. He ends up making it on the Dallas Mavericks for a few years as a backup to Luka Doncic. Then he has that great postseason for the Mavs, and the Knicks say, this is our guy. We believe in him. He's going to be the one that we sign to kind of start this build. They give him $25 million a year, and a lot of people looked at it and said, that's an overpay for a backup point guard, which is what he had been for most of his career. Obviously, now you look back on that, and that's crazy. He's worth every penny and then some, and is going to go down as one of the greatest Knicks, if not the greatest Knick in the history of the organization. Can you guys think of another pro athlete that had a similar career arc to what we've seen from Brunson? A guy who was unheralded as a draft prospect, but was excellent at the collegiate level, maybe even won a title or 2, as Brunson did, and then became a superstar at the NBA level, which I think it's fair to say at this point, Brunson is a household NBA name in a way that very few NBA stars are. Are there other players that had a similar career arc in recent memory?
It's tough.
Can you think of any in the NHL, Alex,
the
that were
only
like
one
this?
that came to mind, and I don't know if he falls into this criteria for you guys, is Binnington.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Because he was a third-round pick. I don't know if juniors is so hard to compare to college basketball, but he won a championship as the starter in juniors the year prior to the Blues drafting him. He was very good in the minor leagues, but was always 3rd or 4th string in the depth chart.
That's an interesting comparison.
Got his chance, was the backup to Allen, didn't go well in his first taste of it, was basically going to be off of the Blues roster, and then came up for that postseason run and just ran it. And
it became a face of the franchise in the moment.
And I don't know if he's the same household name as Jalen Brunson, but I think around the NHL, Jordan Binnington, people know the name.
And that might be for different reasons.
But regardless, like, you know the name, and he was the main reason why they won the championship. I'd still argue to today, I think he should have been the playoff MVP of that playoff run. So that's the only hockey one that I can really come up with, at least in terms of recency.
Yeah, I think that's a good one for hockey. NFL-wise, I think Dak, but he hasn't had the championship success, right?
I feel like you have to have that to be here.
That is a good one, though. That's a good comparison. Because he's become a top 10 quarterback in the league.
Yeah, and everybody knows his name because of that. And he was a guy that got drafted in, what was it, the 4th round? And he was a backup originally to Romo, and he doesn't take over till Romo breaks his collarbone for the 10th time. And then he took over and never looked back on it, and was a guy that, like, we never talked about, right? Nobody ever talks about, boy, that draft pick of Dak Prescott in the 4th round, steal for the Cowboys. They didn't talk about that till he took over. So he's the only one I can think of, because, like, baseball, it's so hard to find these guys.
BK, you want to argue Jordan Love?
Text line, somebody said Tom Brady. I mean, that's a pretty good one.
I was thinking Brett Favre, or not Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers behind Brett Favre, but
he didn't have the collegiate success.
He wasn't that dominant.
Neither did Dak. Honestly,
Dak did.
Right? Oh, did he?
Yeah, Mississippi State was awesome while he was there.
Did Brady have the success in college?
Probably not to the same level.
He was just an overweight quarterback when they drafted him.
He was good. He was a good starter at Michigan. They were a good team, probably not to the same level.
Would Breeze fall into that? Although I don't remember, wasn't he a 1st-round pick that got traded?
2nd round, I think.
But he failed in his first location, then got dealt because
got
of
hurt.
shoulder
He had
issues.
that shoulder issue, yeah.
But then he goes on to win a Super Bowl. But again, if he was drafted 2nd round, I think he started right away.
Somebody said Jalen Hurts. That's a great comparison.
Yeah.
2nd round pick, was excellent in college, won a Heisman, ultimately went on to win the Super Bowl at the NFL level. Jalen Hurts is a really good answer on that one.
This is too hard to do in baseball, right?
Yeah, because the college side of things, I think it's kind of similar to hockey, where
you're going off of
don't
juniors.
have that one-for-one comparison point. I think it's basically basketball and football where you can find this kind, because you become a star in college.
I guess baseball,
like Brunson did become somewhat of a star at the collegiate level.
I guess baseball, you'd have to do it like hockey too, to where it's the minor league success of a guy that's just been really good,
And that's
but
just
overlooked.
different because you don't become a star in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Like college basketball is watched by the millions, right? Same thing for the NFL or college football, rather. It's watched by the millions. And I think that's where a lot of this comes from. Jalen Brunson joined a list, by the way, with Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Kareem, and Bill Walton. Those are the only 5 names on the list of NBA players that had an NBA title, an NBA Finals MVP, a college basketball title, and a Naismith College Player of the Year award on their resume. Those 4 things. So basically, NBA Finals MVP, NCAA title, and won the College Player of the Year. It's Brunson, Jordan, Magic, Kareem, Bill Walton. Not a bad list.
That's a good list
for
to be
Jalen
on.
Brunson to be a
I
part of.
didn't hear LeBron's name on that list, though.
He didn't go to college. 314-399-9646 is the Your
That's
Cup
right.
and Service text line. Questions and answers next here on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and get them in right now on the Air Comfort Service text line. From the 314, guys, would you bring back Tarasenko or Perron?
No. If they were centers, in a heartbeat, but I don't know where they're playing. And as much as I'd love to have David Perron here, you're bringing Perron to play third line for the team? No. I'd just stick with the wingers you got.
I agree. I don't think there's any reason to bring in older veteran wingers right now when you're just blocking younger players from opportunities.
Also, you calling Vladimir Tarasenko and asking if he wants to come back might get a laugh on the other side of the phone.
From Dirk Diggler's unit, can you guys see a scenario where both Libby and Leahy end up back in the bullpen this year? Not really. No. I think maybe one of them could. I guess the scenario that would present itself for that would be
October.
Quinn Matthews is awesome and just bangs down the door, and he takes Leahy's spot, and then you trade for a starter at the deadline. How realistic is that? I don't know, but that would be probably the scenario that could work out.
Yeah,
But I will say no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I don't think they would do it either. I could see him doing it with one, whether it be Libby or Leahy. Probably Leahy. I think at some point he runs into a bit of an innings crunch. I think they just want to keep going through this with Matthew Liberatore just to see if there is more upside to it or not.
I think the swing and miss stuff is what you dream on with Matthew Liberatore.
Yeah, you're hoping. From the 636, guys, will the U.S. men's national team win their group now? T-Bone?
I would lean towards yes. They were very impressive. Australia was good. Turkey was solid in their game, but I think U.S. probably better of those two teams. And since they've already got 3 points and a +3 goal differential, yeah, I'd lean towards them.
Oh, yeah, they're winning the whole thing. From the 801.
USA! USA!
Does Carolina's Stanley Cup give you flashbacks to the Blues winning team? Yeah, I think there's some similarities there. Yeah. The death by 1,000 cuts, goal suppression, winning close games, grind you down.
A couple of those big saves by Bussy last night made me reminisce of Binnington making those big saves in Game 7 versus Boston. I always love it when the team wins the Stanley Cup in the other team's arena. One, to watch them celebrate and the fans that are there. Two, watching the dumb people that leave the arena that paid thousands of dollars to go that doesn't want to see the Stanley Cup awarded.
Why would you want to see the Stanley Cup given to the other team?
Why wouldn't you want to see the Stanley Cup?
It's not my team.
It's the Stanley Cup.
I don't
want to see the championship?
I can go see it at the Hockey Hall of Fame, which I have
Are you
done.
being serious?
Yeah, that's crazy, especially if you're spending thousands of dollars.
Oh, see, I have no problem with that.
I spent that to see my team win.
Yeah, and I'm going to stay and watch.
Oh, I could care.
out.
Yeah, no,
Maybe I'm a
good.
hockey purist. I'm going to stay and watch.
I mean, you can go see the cup at the Hockey Hall of Fame and take pictures
That's
with
fine,
it.
but you don't see the celebration. The celebration's
But
the
I
coolest
don't
part.
want to see that team celebrate. My team just lost. Our season is over.
Get over it, man. Enjoy it.
Oh, no
I can't enjoy it.
chance.
Yeah,
I
get
think
over it. Enjoy
couldn't
it.
help.
Let me ask you this. If the Blues in Game 7, let's say that I'm trying to envision
Whatever you're going to
scenario.
ask, I'm going to stay.
Flip what happened.
Yeah, it
Instead
happens
of it
in
being
Boston.
in Boston, it's here in St. Louis.
And I'm not going
And
to.
the Blues lose. The
I'm out.
Bruins have won the cup.
Oh, I'm staying.
They are celebrating in your arena, and you're there as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
You're staying to watch them celebrate and skate around.
Yeah, because how many times in my life, and yeah, cool, you can go see it in Canada at the Hockey Hall of
actually
Fame.
get a picture
That's
with it at
not,
the
that's
Hockey
not
Hall
the
of
same
Fame.
thing as seeing it being awarded to a team. I may
do you
never get
mean?
to see that again.
I don't want to see that again.
That's crazy.
I would never want to see that.
I want to see that.
Oh, I would not.
I want to see that.
Not on my home ice.
If I'm paying that money to go as a spectator, I want to see it. I want to be in attendance, and I want to see that. I may never get to see that again.
I don't want to see that ever. I hope I never see that.
That's something.
The worst thing in the world would be my team losing while I just spent hundreds of dollars on
thousands.
these tickets. Let's say it's hundreds, whatever it is.
It's thousands.
Hundreds of dollars on these tickets to watch my team potentially force a Game 7, and instead they lost on home ice, and now I get to see these schmucks hoisting the
I'm
Stanley
staying.
Cup overhead.
I'm staying.
No
I wouldn't
way
do
in
it
hell
for
would I do
any
it.
sport.
I'm staying.
I wouldn't do it for like the World Series.
Agreed.
I wouldn't even do it at the Super Bowl, right? If I'm at the Super Bowl and I saw the other team win, I'm not sticking around to watch them lift up the trophy.
I'm staying.
Any kind of a championship game where my team loses and because of that they're going home, I leave immediately.
I felt
after
so
the
bad.
game.
And now they have to do
Any
it. But
regular season game.
No,
I
I'm
will.
saying championship level game.
I'm
Like if it's
staying
the
to watch.
AFC Championship, Chiefs just lost to the the Bills or whatever.
That's
it would never happen.
That's
obviously,
not the championship of the league, though. An AFC
but
championship
you get
is
a trophy and a trophy
fine, but
presentation.
That's different for me. Like
I
this is
actually
the
think it's a
championship
bigger
of the
deal
league.
because you're at your home stadium instead of the Super Bowl, which
well.
takes place at a neutral
That's
site.
why that's not the hardest trophy to win, though. The Stanley
Fine,
Cup's the hardest trophy to win, man.
Great. I'm not
I
disagreeing
go
with
take
you.
my picture with the cup. That's what
It's
I don't
not the
understand.
same thing.
We
It's
act
not
like-
about taking a picture with it.
I
This
know,
is
but
seeing
I
it
actually
being
don't
awarded.
understand the value of
Yeah,
seeing
I
it.
do.
We
Well,
act
the
like-
value is
it's
what
a-
you just paid for
you
the
act like
ticket.
you can't see it at the Hockey Hall
to
of Fame.
watch the game. I paid the price
That's
to
fine,
watch
and I
the
want to
game.
see the result of it to where
You
a team's
saw it.
awarded.
Your team lost. They got
You
their
guys
ass
are just-
handed to
you
them.
guys are
You
just-
scored 0 goals.
you guys are just
as your
sour
coach
fans.
stood there watching your goalie get his teeth kicked
You
in
just-
for the 6th consecutive
No,
game.
you guys are just sour fans. I'm staying to watch the whole thing.
I should be sour. We just lost it.
Correct.
Get over
You know what you
it.
get for second place? Nothing.
Yeah, I get to watch the whole ceremony.
Somebody said, BK, you would have missed the Cardinals comeback versus Texas. No, I'm staying for the game.
And then I'm leaving
once
when
the
it's over.
final
No.
whistle has blown
That's
or
crazy.
the final out has been recorded, I leave.
No, that's crazy. You all are the crazy ones, not me.
I
3 and 4,
hate
atrocious take, Alex.
That's fine. Yours is the atrocious take, not mine. I'm staying.
314-399-9646 is the
Put a
Air
poll
Comfort
up.
Service text line.
Poll on Twitter. We got to go to the people.
The poll will
Where the
make a
people
difference.
are
I
at.
know I'm right here.
For you, I'm not telling you how
I'm
you should
right.
operate. If you would like to stay, that's totally fine. I cannot relate to that. It sounds like the worst experience that I would
I think
ever
it'd
have.
be all, like, for example, like for the Blues, you mentioned that one. If they were at home ice, I can't imagine, let alone being a fan of this thing. I can't imagine the feeling of, like, for you, for example, being the pre and post game guy that has to do the post game show while they are skating around with the cup
I'm
on
wrapping
ice.
the post game fast on that one
Because you
Oh,
want to see it,
Post-game.
right?
Yeah, because I'm going to sit and watch it.
Oh no!
I'm not going to
absolutely
broadcast to my own radio
I know,
network
no post-game
that the
tonight.
trophy's being carried around, but I'm
But
going to rep so
apparently
I
it's a
can
big
watch
deal.
it.
You said that you
As
need
a
to see
fan,
it.
it's a big deal. Not for the people listening on the radio.
If you think that you need to see it, then I would say the other people need to see it as well.
Well, you're not seeing it on the radio. You're listening
You
to
got to
it.
paint the picture for him,
No, I'm
Alex.
not painting that picture. I'm going to watch that picture.
Coming up next, Alec Burleson is on an absolute tear. How does he fit into the build long term? We'll talk about it here at BK and Ferrario.
Swing and a high fly to right. Burleson's homered in 4 straight. How far's that one going? Halfway up the upper deck. It's 1-0 St. Louis.
You know, we always talked about Nolan Gorman going on those tears where he just carries the offense for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm always told that's going to come at some point. He's going to go on a run.
That's what's happening right now with Alec Burleson.
Should I pick him to hit 40 home runs?
He is on a 14-game hitting streak right now. In those 14 games, he's 19 for 58. That's good for a .330 average. And 10 of his 19 hits have gone for extra bases. 4 doubles and 6 homers in his last 14 games. This is a guy that's more known for his bat to ball than his power. And yet on the season, Alex, he's now slugging .495.
Yeah, I was going to say, even when he's not smashing home runs, he's still been better than what Nolan Gorman's been this season.
The Cardinals now have 2 players on their roster with 13 or more homers and 50 or more RBIs through the first 69 games of the regular season. Those 2 players are Alec Burleson from the left side and Jordan Walker from the right side. I was curious, how often has that happened for the Cardinals, especially at this age where both of them are under the age of 28? How often have we seen at this point in the season a player with 13 or more homers and 50 or more RBIs? The answer is very, very rarely. In the last 50 years, this is the entire list of players to meet that criteria for the Cardinals. Burley, Walker this year. Marcell Ozuna did it in 2019. Albert Pujols did it 4 separate times.
Unbelievable.
And Fernando Tatis, who's the answer to all of these trivia questions, apparently. His 99 season, once again, is on this list.
But none of those were on the same team.
No, it's the first time that they've had multiple players under the age of 28 with 13-plus homers, 50-plus RBIs at this point in the season in the last 50 years. Multiple players to do it. And Alec Burleson is right in the middle of everything right now for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's been spectacular for them. How does he fit into the build, Alex? Because he's not 23 like Jordan Walker. He's not just getting up to the big leagues like J.J. Weatherholt. This is a guy that's a first base DH type, probably long term. And he's 28 years old, or about to be 28 years old, and only a couple of years remaining of club control. So what's the future look like here? Because he's clearly been one of the most productive players in Major League Baseball so far this season.
I think he and his future with the Cardinals are tied to 2 things. One, how expensive does he get, which I can't imagine that position, that profile is going to get to the point where you can't afford to keep him. And 2, how does the development of this rebuild go? Because in 2 years, when he's a pending free agent and he's 29 going on 30 years old, if this team feels like, okay, we're past the rebuild and now we're inching closer to put some chips in the middle and say we're ready to start winning now, I think he fits in perfectly. I think he's an older player that has the bat-to-ball skills that you want, that can play the position at first or be a DH, depending on what your roster looks like. And he's not expensive. And so for me, I think he fits perfectly. Now, if this rebuild takes a step backwards next year and you feel like it's not to the same level that it is now, where you feel like it's wide open for you, then I think you have different conversations of, does he fit in? I think you have the same conversations if that happens that we had with Brendan Donovan. Does it make sense to keep going with this if you feel like this still is a couple of years away? But to me, if this continues to go this direction, with Walker being an MVP, with Weatherholt continuing to develop, your pitching pipeline all developing pretty quickly where you're at right now, I think Burleson fits perfectly with what the team's looking to do.
Yeah, like I find him to be fascinating because of his age and the fact that I would think when the Cardinals said we're going into rebuild, I think we all stood, 3 years till they're probably back into contention. And that's when you get to the point when he starts to head towards free agency. So I think it is kind of what Alex is saying, to where it is, okay, if this is kind of the beginning of something here, this guy probably fits into what they're going to do. They probably play through the arbitration system. I don't think he gets too expensive unless he really continues to go on an incredible tear like this for the next 3 years. I think you're looking at like the Josh Naylor deal. And the Cardinals could afford that kind of money to pay a first baseman, especially a guy that hits from the left side and has been one of the best hitters against right-handed pitching, which is very valuable in October, as we've talked about many years in the past. But I can also see to where if this was the blip on the year radar this year, and then next year they take a step back, which we've talked about as well, was possible, they could go into the following offseason and saying, okay, we probably got to trade this guy because he doesn't match up with what our timeline is, and he's at the beginning age of 30 almost. That doesn't match up with what we're trying to do as we build around Walker and Weatherholt and Herrera.
I just play it out. You've got 2 more years after this year. He'll be 29 years old in his final season right now under contract with the Cardinals. Like, I think the best way to do this is he's not going to price himself out of what you can do. Probably be like $5-6 million next year, probably about 10 the year after that. That's a totally reasonable contract for Alec Burleson. You're talking about 2 years, $15 million effectively is what you're kind of looking at right now for him. And he's been extremely productive. Like, I know some are saying, like, trade him. Go ahead. Send him out as soon as possible to capitalize on the value. The value is he plays for you. Like, that's the value that you're capitalizing on is you have one of the, 15 best lefty bats in baseball right now?
Yeah.
Build around it. Continue to build. This is one of the pieces that you could build around. J.J. Weatherholt is one of the pieces that you can build around. Ivan Herrera and Jordan Walker are 2 of those pieces from the right side that you can build around. Hopefully Baez continues to work his way into your plans as well. Rainiel Rodriguez can work his way into your plans. Maybe Jimmy Crooks continues on the ascent and he becomes a really nice lefty bat behind the plate as well. Like, keep throwing resources, keep throwing assets at this lineup to continue to lengthen it out. For me, Alec Burleson is one of those bats right now. He's one of the faces of the St. Louis Cardinals. I have no interest in moving on from that. As currently constructed, I would be far more likely to give him an extension than to trade him. Like, if he came to, or if his agent probably is more likely, went to Chaim Bloom and said, hey, we will do a 5-year deal worth, let's call it $80 million. Because I don't think he's getting the full Josh Naylor or Wilson Contreras deal if he signs early, because he's already under contract for the next couple of years with team control. So he's not operating from a place of strength. That would only happen once he gets to free agency. So if he gets like 5 years, $80 million, which is a little less than what the Wilson Contreras free agency deal was, would you guys be cool with that? If they announced that tomorrow? They're not going to, but if they did in this hypothetical
I'd be
world.
fine with that. I don't think you're overpaying for a guy. I think you're getting somebody that is a face of the franchise, but also one of those pieces that you need to have on your team if you want to win anything. And he plays a position that you don't have to worry about. And I know it might clog things if you think Ivan Herrera can play there, but make Herrera the DH for you, or Herrera sticks with the catcher position. So if that's what they did, then yeah, I'd be A-okay with it.
Yeah, I think even I would do that. And I'm a anti-contract extension guy. I just don't see, like, when he kind of starts to age, quote unquote, in that deal, I think he's gets back more to what I thought he was, which is more of a contact hitter with less power. That could play with you as you start to build this along. If he becomes suddenly from a 3-hole hitter to a 5-hole hitter, that's perfectly fine. So I think I would be willing to do that. I doubt he would, but if he was willing to, yeah, I would do that.
I just don't know how much more upside there is for a contract for him.
If he can go on a tear like he's doing right now and do that for the next 3 years, he might be able to get Naylor maybe a little bit more.
But Naylor's money is 5 years, 90.
Yeah, I think
so you're only talking about an extra like $15 million. That's not nothing, but he'll also be 2 years older than Naylor is. So he might not get the same term on his deal. Like right now, he is where Naylor was when Naylor hit free agency. So do you think at the age of 30, he's going to get that same money? I don't know, man. I think you're talking about somewhere in that, because there's a huge gap right now in the first base market. It's Vlad, Bryce Harper, Chris Bryant, Matt Olson, Freddie Freeman. Those are the top 5, and then Pete Alonso. Those are the top 6 guys. They're all somewhere in that like $155+ million range. They're all getting crazy money. He doesn't fit into that criteria. He's not one of those guys. And then there's a range of like $80 to $90 million with Naylor, Contreras, Tyler Soderstrom, and Jake Cronenworth. And his is a weird contract because it's super long, but it's like $11 million a year. I think he fits far more into that category. And if I'm already saying 5 for 80, I don't know how much more potential there is there to be able to get a higher dollar figure than that once he hits free agency. So I think it kind of makes sense for both sides, honestly.
Yeah, I just think if you're his agent, I would be saying, hey, if you can continue to build on this, because he's gotten better year over year, if you can continue to sustain this, let's see if we can kind of quote-unquote reset that mid-tier market. Because I agree. I don't think he's
120.
Yeah, I don't think he's up there with the Alonsos and those guys, but can he get like 5 by 120 or 5 by like 110? Like, that, sure, it is only $15-20 million. Yeah, that kind of matters to the players, right?
It does. There's also a lot of potential for downside here, though.
Sure.
Because if he does regress a bit and he has some swing decisions that aren't quite up to what they are right now, or any kind of an injury or anything like that, right now you have zero guaranteed money coming your way. This that's been presented to you is $80 million guaranteed the moment that you sign the bottom line. Dude, that's a lot of money.
Yep.
$80 million is hard to turn down when you're having it guaranteed in front of your face at the age of 28. And you know, hey, for the next 5 years, I'm here. Like, I've got everything ready to go. I'm in a comfortable situation. This is the team that bet on me in the draft. I have made my mark as their starting first baseman, hitting in the middle of the order every day. I like what we're building here. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense. I do wonder... We've talked a lot about extension candidates on the Cardinals. Like, I think he's a better extension candidate than J.J. Weatherholt. I think Walker is a better extension candidate than J.J. Weatherholt. I would have those two right now, for me, as the most likely extension candidates from the St. Louis Cardinals, as Burley and Walker. And I say Burley even above Walker right now because of
I think it's just
what the money would potentially be for both.
I just think
feel more
Walker, I'd rather
confident.
get locked up.
Oh, see, I'd rather do I would be more comfortable doing the Burley one because A, it's going to be less money. It's shorter term, and I just feel more confident that Burley's going to age better gracefully, right? Like, I don't, as much as Walker's been fun, I would still be fearful to pay him today. I would go another year before trying to figure that out.
I wouldn't necessarily be fearful so much as like the risk of being wrong is so significant. If you're wrong with Walker, you have just spent like $150 million or more, and you got it wrong. And you did it because you bet on 3 good months. Whereas with Burleson, I've seen 3 good years now. And the risk of being wrong is I paid $18 million for a hitter that's worth 12. Because even a really nice platoon bat at first base can get about $12 million a year. And that's year to year, sure. You're not spending it over the course of a 5-year deal, so there's less flexibility. But even if you're wrong on this, he's still probably a tradable asset for you, if nothing else. With Walker, if I'm wrong, I'm bleeped. Like, there's just nothing you can do to get out of that. So the risk outweighs the reward right now, potentially with Walker. I think the reward far outweighs the risk when it comes to an Alec Burleson kind of an extension. So that's why I would put him right now at the top of my list of guys that I would be open to and probably actively working toward some kind of an extension with would be Alec Burleson. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes, do the Cardinals change their in-season plans based upon the way they've been playing? At least one local columnist says no. We'll let you hear what Chaim Bloom had to say about that coming up in about 15 minutes. The U.S. men's national team, though, we got to talk about this. They opened our eyes with their performance over the weekend. T-Bone is our resident soccer guy. What did he see from the men's team over the weekend? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. Our resident soccer guy has a really bad bet going right now.
Oh, guys, Spain
Dumb
can't
bet.
score against Cape Verde. I don't even know where that is.
Cape Verde?
Yeah. And
I don't actually know where that is.
Spain's a soccer powerhouse. I had them for 4 goals today. They haven't scored nothing.
It's in Africa.
I would have not known
I
that.
wouldn't have either. I was thinking South America.
And the only reason they're in the tournament is because we expanded this thing.
Well, you're going to lose a bet because of it. Way to go, man.
Ridiculous.
Scoreless, 65
Spain.
minutes in for Spain versus Cape Verde.
What was that bet that you laid again, T-Bone?
Them to score over 3.5 goals at plus 100.
Seemed like an obvious bet, huh?
Did. I mean, Germany killed Curacao 7-1 yesterday.
And those are the
Curacao.
same teams.
Or Curacao. I mean, like, both these teams don't belong in this freaking tournament. Stupid FIFA had to expand. For the better of the game, yeah, bite me.
Wow.
For
Jesus.
money. It was for money, let's be honest.
Any other thoughts on the expansion that you want to get off your chest?
No, I think that was about it. I think it's better that they did this 4 teams in a group than the original. They were going to do 3 in a group. I'm glad they flipped from that.
Some good insight right there.
You're welcome.
So the U.S. men's team on Friday night wins 4-1 against Paraguay. Man, that was awesome. My honest to God thoughts on it were just, listen, I'm not a soccer guy, right? That's not my forte. You want something on football, baseball, basketball, I got you. Alex has the hockey nailed down. Soccer is just not my forte. I enjoy
shots at
watching
me.
it.
I
It's
can do
not
foot
something
baseball.
that I consume a whole lot of. So what I had heard, Alex, from most of my soccer friends, my soccer zealots that I affectionately call my friends, this team is not great. It's fine, but it's not great. They're probably unlikely to go very far in this tournament. So when I watched this game, I was quite surprised when they looked like world beaters out there. They looked unbelievable. Like, this was 90 minutes of them just very clearly outplaying Paraguay, who I understand is also not good. Understood. But I haven't seen the U.S. look like that in many World Cup games, like ever. So, T-Bone, what am I supposed to take from this? Because my original reaction is World Cup or bust. I'm assuming that's unrealistic.
Very.
What should I have taken from the 4-1 win against Paraguay?
Well, I will say, like, they were very impressive in that contest. I expected them to come out and, like, win it, but win it, like, 2-1, you know, not maybe be all that impressive, because they weren't impressive 4 years ago in their opener against Wales when they tied 1-1 and had to go to the very last day to try and get into the round of 16. But
They were only a slight favorite in that game.
yeah, I think that, if I'm not mistaken, I think they struggled against Paraguay in a friendly not too long ago too. So I think 2 things were a factor. I would caution people on getting overly excited, like winning it all.
Like somebody saying
Yeah.
World Cup or
Yeah.
bust.
Like Brandon over there. Because I think 2 things were really
All right,
in
so that's
play
too
here.
far. Cool.
Actually, 3, honestly. 1 was you've just recently seen this team not that long ago, so that does help you. 2 was the fact that it was the opener of the World Cup in your own country. I mean, you had everything going for you there. Star-studded atmosphere, a bunch of celebrities in the house for that game. Of course, they were going to play well. Canada and Mexico played well in their openers as the other co-host of this World Cup. And then the third thing for it is Paraguay's not that great a team, right? I understand that they weren't significant favorites. You should still win that game, because Paraguay, if we were going by the old format, wouldn't even be in this, because 6 teams from South America now qualify. It used to be 4. So I would caution on that, but if they're going to go far, if they're going to go on a surprise run that I'm not expecting, it's going to come down to their best players being their best players. And Pulisic was awesome in that game over the weekend.
I feel like people don't like him.
He's
Is he a
I think it's,
polarizing figure?
I don't know that it's pulverizing. He definitely had a moment here in the loo, but
What happened?
you know,
that go
during
well?
the political season, he kind of sided with somebody that's not too popular.
Oh, he's a Trumper.
Oh, yeah. He did,
That's okay.
he did the Trump
Guys.
dance twice in a game here in St.
okay.
Louis. And that was the first time that he
Gotcha.
and then his comments were, I didn't know that was that. Okay. But
I saw the interview that he had over the weekend. I think it must have been going into that game on Friday where...
Guys, let's move on.
No, this is not political.
Oh, okay.
He was like, yeah, no, these games aren't any different for me. It's a World Cup. It was like, Feels like they should be bigger. But I don't know.
That's ice in the veins right there.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I would say this for him. It probably isn't because he plays in the best leagues in the world, right?
But
if he were playing in the MLS, it would definitely feel bigger.
But even the greatest players in the world say it's different playing for your country than your club.
Yeah.
But he seems to be suggesting, no, they're the same to me, which does feel weird and anti-American.
I don't know if these feel as big, though, as like when the elimination ones kick in. Like,
well,
they're
not
big.
these ones, sure.
Yeah, because when you get to the Olympics, like, yeah, they talk
he was
about
talking about the World Cup in general, though, not just this game against Paraguay.
Was it before he played this game?
Or was this isn't his first World Cup?
And this is third, I think. Maybe fourth.
I don't know. I was going to say, because like
part of the reason
these it's hard to get that.
People are kind of frustrated. I think it's not just with Pulisic, but this was supposed to be, his generation was supposed to be that wave that took U.S. soccer to the next step. I mean, you look at it like his partner in crime that's with this team, McKinney, goes and plays in Europe. The guy that scored the 2 goals plays with Monaco, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, this is some of the best talent the U.S. has ever had, and they haven't really gone anywhere. And I think that's part of the frustration with Pulisic and this grouping of guys is it felt like they were sold to be the next thing that would take U.S. soccer to the next step of maybe not winning the World Cup, but getting to, I don't know, the semifinals or even the quarterfinals, and they haven't really gotten that close and never taken that step. And I still feel like that's kind of where they are. I mean, as good as they played, they also had like a 20-minute stretch there in the second half where they looked like a shell of themselves. And I thought they were going to let Paraguay back into that game. And I think that's the biggest fear for U.S. soccer fans. I think they will win this group because I don't think Australia or Turkey is – they're good. They're better than Paraguay, and they'll test the U.S., but the U.S. is just giving themselves such an advantage by winning that game and blowing out Paraguay. I still think they're going home by like round of 16. That would be my expectation.
72 minutes in, still no score. Spain versus Cape Verde.
Yeah, they can get 4 in, 20 minutes or so,
Spain
T-Bone?
sucks.
T-Bone, this is something that I was going to have us talk about potentially today. T-Bone looked it up. It was like, there's nothing there.
This one is shocking.
What's going on? I feel like nobody is winning these games. Everything is a tie. And
welcome to soccer, my friend.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Some of these teams that I expected to do better. Now, apparently Morocco's really good at soccer.
Yeah.
Raised my hand, didn't know that. But Brazil tying against Morocco was quite surprising to your boy who doesn't know anything
Who's basically
about soccer.
told Brazil's going to probably win it all.
Yeah, Brazil, historically speaking at least, has been very, very good. The Netherlands tying against Japan. Again, apparently Japan is quite good at soccer now. That was quite surprising to me considering the Netherlands have historically, at least in recent memory, been quite good as well. What's going on, T-Bone?
Well,
Has there been more surprises than what you're typically expecting at this point in the World Cup?
There's been a couple of upsets, but I don't know that it's anything that's like overly surprising that you wouldn't expect, because I think you see games like this at times, and this is where it becomes a big deal, is a team like this Cape Verde game, for example, with Spain. Guys, they've had 28% possession. Expected goals are 1.73 to 0.04. So without even seeing this game, I can tell you what they're doing. They're just compacting the box, right? They're basically playing 11 guys.
You got to get points to get in.
We want a point, and we're going to see if we can just slow down Spain. And that is the most frustrating thing to see. Iceland had a run like this 2 World Cups ago.
Welcome to soccer.
That was annoying. But I don't think there's anything surprising here. I wouldn't be shocked if there are more ties in the percentage of games played compared to the last World Cups, because now I think a point is even more valuable, because 8 of the 12 third-place teams get to advance to the round of 32. So, like, if you end up with a tie now in the first game, it's actually probably not the end of the world. You actually still have a pretty good chance to advance. In the old format, like, tying was not ideal, because then you only had 2 games and you had to be in the top 2 of the group. So a tie actually was kind of okay, well, now we have to outperform the team we just tied with. That's not necessarily the case anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more ties. But I think this is just normal for the World Cup as a whole.
Okay. We'll see. I guess we'll find out in the next few days.
Spain is so disappointing right now.
Well, Cape Verde does what you're supposed to do, right?
No, they're supposed to get killed.
Nobody gets, well, not in Cape Verde's mind. We got to get a point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, here's the strategy, boys.
No.
Everybody stand in front of the goalie and nobody gets past them.
Money line, minus 175 right now for Spain. Plus 2,200 for Cape Verde. That might be an opportunity.
Oh my God, there's no way.
I think it's gonna end 0-0, buddy.
Yeah, it's either 0-0 or Spain will win this. Odds are, if Spain wins, it ends up being like 2-0, because the moment they score, Cape Verde will have to start to open it up to try and get a point, and that's when things could really go south.
Plus 160 on the draw.
Go with the draw.
No, don't go the draw. I think Spain's still going to win.
I think you're just hoping out, man.
Minus
we should turn it on
170
in the
money line
studio.
for the Spain.
I got to see
For
if
the
Cape Verde's
Spaniards.
doing what I'm thinking. They have to be playing 11 guys in
You
the box.
just gave the possession numbers. They're doing exactly what you wonder. It's Cape Verde
insane.
versus Spain, man. Nobody gets past our midline.
Their possession just keeps going down. Now it's down to 27%.
Because when they get the ball, they just boot it down the field.
0 shots on goal, 0 big chances created, 0 big chances missed. Spain also has 7 fouls so far
Guys,
committed in
this
the
is
game.
the pass is 604 to 176.
There's one sign up on their, it's not believe in their locker room.
St.
It's
Charles-
don't lose.
St. Charles County bookmaker says Spain's best player wasn't playing. I don't care. They should still kill Cape Verde.
Don't lose, boys. That's the goal.
Wow.
This was like watching hockey in the 90s when they had ties. God, it was annoying.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, is it time for the Cardinals to change their in-season plans? One local columnist says no. We'll hear what Chaim Bloom has to say about that next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals fell to the Twins yesterday 5-4 as they dropped 2 of 3 in Minnesota. They go 3-3 on their 6-game road trip. They return home tonight where they'll start a 3-game set with the San Diego Padres. 6:45 will be first pitch. Dustin May will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. I'm officially on the Cape Verde money line.
Yep, don't lose. That's the game plan.
Nope, I'm on the they're going to win.
No. The
Don't
style
wanna
they're
burn
playing,
$10
there's no
over
chance
there.
they can win.
They've
Unless
been
Spain
outshot 21-3.
They've got 3.
They won't exit their half of the field.
A tie is down to minus 105. So I hope you guys took advantage while it was at plus 160 during our last segment. We're now in the 82nd minute. It is a 0-0 scoreless tie between Spain and Cape Verde. And
Big save.
this thing's coming down to the wire. Spain's getting really annoyed.
I love it.
the way they're playing.
I love it. I'm
Spain's-
all on Cape Verde.
Spain is going to go just crazy today if this country can only get a point. And this Cape Verde's going to celebrate like they won the World Cup.
They might as well.
The only time Cape Verde gets it past half field is when they throw the ball in.
Basically.
That's the only time. And then they just go back to stacking the box.
It's 3-on-3 overtime at all times.
Yes. And the other
for
team
Cape
just
Verde.
refuses to enter the offensive zone.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the Cardinals here. Yesterday, I was listening to KMOX
This is more
Sports on a
exciting.
Sunday, and they had Chaim Bloom on. He was talking about the deadline. We'll get to his thoughts here in just a moment, but I woke up this morning, and Lynn Worthy, who I really like, had a column over in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch on why the Cardinals and Chaim Bloom will still have to sell at this year's trade deadline. He wrote the following, Alex. When you take a step back, it's clear that the Cardinals likely can't be buyers at the deadline. Instead, they need to sell. For everyone who wants them to find some mythical middle ground between going all in and not adding to the current group at all, you already know that's fantasy land hocus pocus that doesn't actually work. That's the exact kind of approach that angered Cardinals fans in recent years. Staying the course, making small changes along the margins, searching for that middle ground. What did it get them? A middling product. You can't really expect and want a new front office regime to follow in those same footsteps. So in other words, don't worry about what's happened so far this year. You still have to follow the original plan, which is to take a step back and sell at this year's trade deadline. Here's Chaim Bloom when asked about the deadline and how he's currently viewing that yesterday when he was on KMOX.
Yeah, I think big picture, to say, hey, we're not going to stay the course, that usually doesn't go well, right? But for me, the course is this big picture of everything we've been talking about since the fall, which is trying to build something that can last, build something that can contend for championships annually and that can last. And so anything that pushes us towards that, we want to consider. Now, what that means is, again, the other thing I've been saying, I think since then, is there's no point at which we were trying to do that and say that we don't also want to experience success right here in the moment. We certainly do. Now, when we have those trade-offs, if we get away from that long-term goal, shame on us, because that's really what we need to deliver over time. But a lot of it, we said we do want to have that success in the here and now. We just want to come by it honestly. We want to come by it by having it be the byproduct of giving ourselves a lot of pleasant surprises on the way to doing what we're trying to do in the big picture. And that's actually served us really well so far. There's been a lot of things that we've done, including some of the moves that you and I have talked about on this call, that we felt had a chance to serve us both right now and also help build this thing to where we want it to go. And so to me, those are the things we want to hunt most of all, and not think too much in terms of stuffing ourselves into a box that somebody else wants to put us in.
I just don't see why it would be so detrimental for them to make a small move on the margins. Like, if you don't trade, I'm trying to think, Dustin May is probably one of the guys that people in the Lynn Worthy camp would say you probably need to trade him. He's on an expiring deal. That's exactly the kind of player that you should be trading at the deadline. What are you giving up? A middling prospect? What's that really do for you long term? Probably not a whole lot. Maybe, but probably not. if you don't trade JoJo Romero, what are you missing out on? Your next Matt Swanson? I mean, that's not nothing, but does that really change the outlook for this rebuild? I don't think so. I mean, we saw what it looked like the last time this team sold. Almost all of that stuff that they got has materialized into Swanson. It's like the best piece they got that has impacted the major league roster from their last significant sell-off at the deadline. And let's be real, they had more to offer that year than they do this year. So I just don't see the urgency to move on from the current pieces from the roster. If you decide, hey, the return on Riley O'Brien is too much, we cannot say no to this. Like, somebody is offering us the equivalent of like Riley O'Brien's Mason Miller return. I don't know what that looks like. It's not quite the same level as Mason Miller, obviously. That guy's the most dominant reliever in the sport. But that kind of a return, yeah, you got to accept it, and you see what you can do around it. But other than that, like, if you could get this year's version of Jose Quintana or Jordan Montgomery or Jay Happ or John Lester or something that can bolster your rotation, and then you use one of those starters, whether it's Libby or Leahy, to bolster the bullpen, I don't see any real downside in making a move like that. It's not impacting your future in a negative way, and it is impacting the present in a positive way. So that's the exact kind of thing I think this team should be looking to do at this year's deadline, assuming they continue to win the way that they have so far.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like I've said all along, I think they should sell, but only if it's a deal that you just can't pass up on. And I don't think that's the only move. I think there is a scenario where you don't trade anything and you just keep as is. And hearing his comments there, to me, it really sounds like, look, we'll make the move to bring something in if it's a move that makes our future better. Like, I kind of, not to cross sport analyze here, but I kind of equate it to what Montreal did at this year's deadline. Like, Montreal knows that their window is going to be opening soon, if not now. And they were only looking to make moves that made them better long term, right? They were connected to Thomas. They were connected to Matthew Nyes. These are guys that are 23, 24, 25 years old that are going to be with the team for the next 5 years. To me, that's what it sounded like with Heim's mindset of like, look, our goal all along is to acquire a player, if we look to acquire players, that continue to make us a consistent winner. So in his world, and I'm only just assuming here, we're not going to trade prospects for a guy that's going to be here for 3 months. We're going to be looking for guys that are with our team beyond this year. And if it's not there, and if we don't feel like there's a return that makes us that much better in terms of our rebuild, then we just keep it as is and we let it continue to run.
See, and I would even push back a little bit on that. I think you can trade for a guy that's here for 3 months because the return for those guys isn't that significant.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen this with Jack Flaherty multiple times where that guy's a good starter, a good starting pitcher, and was having a good year both times that he was traded. He got a whole lot of nothing at the trade deadline, and that's because there are some warts to his resume, including injury concerns. Well, welcome to starting pitching across Major League Baseball. Think about what you were able to get in return for, like, Steven Matz last year. Decent return. Blaze Jordan, I think, was a return, right?
Oh, yeah.
But they had no future for Blaze Jordan in their organization. And in the offseason, the Cardinals were so sure that nobody else would take him in the Rule 5 draft that they exposed him to the Rule 5 draft. So that shows you what the rest of Major League Baseball thought about him. And they got that for a couple of months of Steven Matz. You could go get your version of Steven Matz or something a little better for a prospect that probably has no future with your team. Like, maybe it's Thomas Ajayci, who you decide, you know what, there's probably still some upside here, but we've got Jose Fermin, we've got Cesar Prieto, we've got Brian Torres, we've got all these other utility guys. There's really not a spot long-term for somebody like this on our roster. Let's go ahead and utilize this to go get something that can help us right now. And maybe that means 3 months of somebody. So be it. You live with it. And you try to find the next Thomas Ajayci in this year's draft in the 3rd round.
Yeah, and I think the thing that feels different to me, I disagree on the premise of like, well, in years past, they did this middling buy where they would go out and get these small rentals that we're talking about, and fans weren't happy about that. I think what fans weren't happy about was those teams weren't that good to even when you added to the margin, you went from what, 75 win to an 80 win team? Like, you think back to 2024, they had Goldie and Arenado, but they both weren't playing well that season. You look back at the 2025 year, and it was, okay, well, Arenado's clearly not the same guy. Like, there was nothing to really hold their hat on as, like, they're good at this. And the thing that I would point to now that's different, look at 1 through 4 in their lineup. 1 through 4 in their lineup, and look, 5 through 9 has its problems. That's why you're seeing them churn through it. 1 through 4 in their lineup, they're third in OPS in baseball this season and tied for first in OPS plus at 131. Oh, and by the way, 1 through 4 in your lineup is making a combined $5.7 million.
Yep.
And it's only going to get more expensive from here. So if the window's not already starting to open up because of what this order is doing in the top 4, this is a team to where if you add smallly on the margins, it might actually make a difference and be able to get them to the playoffs. Now, win the playoffs, probably not, right? They're probably not a World Series team, but can they get in and maybe win like a wild card round? It's possible. And those small marginal upgrades, look at what they did at the bottom of the order. Have you guys felt Blaze Jordan's impact? Have you guys felt Lars Nootbaar's impact? Have you felt what Nathan Church has already done since his return? Those are small margins that they've been able to upgrade, and it's helped them out. So imagine if they go out and trade a prospect that has no future, to your point here, a smaller level prospect, you trade him and you go get a rental arm that helps your rotation. You would feel that impact this year.
And what if I told you, hey, Shohei gets hurt in October, and he's unavailable now.
All right, and who else is hurt for the Dodgers?
And
I was going to say, what about their other 3 MVPs?
let's say
Freeman and Betts are gone. I like our chances.
Kyle Tucker's not going to be that good either.
Oh, yeah.
And, Kike Hernandez isn't available.
let's say their whole rotation is on the IL like it has been for most of the year.
No, that's why they'll be available in the playoffs.
Like suddenly the National League looks somewhat beatable, right? I don't think that the Brewers are this world beater. I know what they've been in the regular season. I've seen that before. Once we get to the postseason, I'll take my shot against them. I don't think that the Braves are a world beater once we get to October. I think it's really just the Dodgers that you're truly scared of in that spot. And if they go through some injuries, which is very possible, I don't know, man. Anything can happen in October. Outside of, Dodgers being fully healthy, in which case they're going to win in October. But
They don't even need to be fully healthy, and anything can happen.
If they're not, you could be a couple of twisted ankles and a blown elbow and a couple of shoulder issues away from making a run.
And I'm not going to make my trade deadline decisions off of that with them. Like if we're talking
and that's
about
why you don't go all in.
If you're talking about a small move on the margin.
You're not trading Rainiel Rodriguez.
Yeah, if you're talking about a small move on the margin and a prospect that nobody really cares about, then I don't think anybody's got problems with that. The bigger problem is if you make a bigger move to try and push your chips all in now. And I think that's where Heimblum's getting at. Look, this isn't going to be a team that goes all in and chases Tarek Skubal at this deadline. They're going to make smart decisions that benefit this team moving forward. And I don't think it's the dumbest decision if they just basically say, this is good. We will make a small move to bring in a guy that helps, but it's not anything we're going to get crazy with at this deadline.
All right, there's 5 minutes of added time in this Cape Verde versus
here it
Spain
comes.
match. And, man, let me tell you, I'm feeling really good about
They're
a
not going to
potential
win.
draw here.
But did you
didn't
put money
bet
on
on
the draw?
draw.
You put it on they'd win.
I did put it on.
I told you to put 100 on the draw, man.
I'm feeling really
I'm
good
thinking
about a
with a
potential
minute to
draw.
go, they're not scoring 4 goals. Spain
I
is.
hope Cape Verde scores with a minute left. Chaos.
The draw is now minus 1,000.
Dude,
So down to minus 1,100. So if you were somebody that when we said,
What a strategy.
put some money on the plus 160 for a draw,
You're welcome.
you made yourself some really nice money.
Well,
right?
that's a
One of them
BKO.
listened to
Spain's
us and
going to
didn't
score here in a second.
There's only 45 seconds left. Spain hasn't been able to get anything on net in a little while. I'm not overly
Listen
concerned.
to BK. Don't do as he does. because-
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, we'll dive into the junk drawer here on 101 ESPN. You guys watched the UFC event last night? I promise I'm not taking this into political waters. I promise.
I saw 2 fights because there were 2 guys that I was curious to see what the fight was. Well, I watched the Derek Lewis one because I think Derek Lewis is hilarious and he got knocked out. And then I watched the main fight because of the hype around it.
I did not watch any of it. I'm just not a UFC fan.
Totally fine. Reason I ask is because, listen, say whatever you will about the political aspects of it. Again, not diving into those waters. Kind of a cool backdrop.
Yeah.
Like, crazy, kind of a cool backdrop. If you could see a sporting event, Alex, anywhere, with any backdrop, what would you want it to be? Because I'm sure for some people, seeing it in front of the White House was a cool thing, right? If, like, you had the opportunity to go to that, and you're a big UFC guy, and you're a big history buff, like, I would imagine putting those 2 things together would be pretty cool to see you in person. Yeah. If you could went to, like, the Lake Tahoe game, I would imagine for a lot of people that would be a pretty cool environment. But what is that thing for you?
Easy one for me. Baseball with Mount Rushmore in the backdrop.
That'd be unbelievable.
Baseball
I don't know how you
on
would
Mount
do it.
Rushmore.
And that seems dangerous.
Like in National Treasure 2 when they're on top of it?
It feels dangerous.
Oh, my gosh.
Because I've been to Mount Rushmore, and like going there, I'll be honest, I was like, oh my God, we're going to go look at rocks with faces in it. And then you go there and you see it in person, and it's just, wow, this is amazing. Now, the rest of Dakota's awful, but Mount Rushmore's there, and it's really cool. And thinking about America's pastime in front of that would be awesome.
America's pastime in front of America's pastime.
And hockey would be cool, too, but I think hockey is more of a Canadian sport, so I don't know that it fits as well behind Mount Rushmore as baseball would.
What's the famous, like, park water in Washington, D.C.? I'm having a mind blank right now.
Park water?
Like in front of the Lincoln Memorial.
Yes. Oh, the reflective pool.
Make that an ice hockey rink and have an outdoor game there.
They're taking ideas right now. Turns out it's green.
That, as a history buff, that would be so cool. As a history buff,
You're
man.
the guy who made it political.
As a history buff, man, that would be cool to have the Lincoln Memorial right behind you.
T-Bone knew exactly where that was going.
I'm not talking politics.
I know.
I think that would just be cool backdrop.
That would have been incredible.
That would be
in all
so
seriousness,
cool.
even if you had it to the side, that would be
the other
amazing.
one is to have a hockey game on the Strip in Vegas, which would just be never possible.
I don't know. I feel like that.
Like if you could,
racing
I don't know if
in
you
Vegas.
yeah, but you got to keep it cold. Like if you did it in the Bellagio waterfront, but how do you keep it cold? That's the problem.
They played
I'm
an
sure they
outdoor
have
game in
outdoor
Miami,
skating
right?
rinks in the off season.
Yeah,
No?
well,
when
and
it's
they
cold.
did.
I mean, even in December, it feels like it's not cold
I
enough.
think that one would be doable
think you could
because
do that.
I mean they did outdoor games in Florida this year.
They did during that All-Star game in Vegas. They did a skills competition. I think it was the Kachuk brothers that did it, to where they were shooting.
Play on ice for a game. We'll run on water.
That would be the other one for me, to have the Vegas Strip in the background to see some type of scenery there.
In January, the average high is about 59. The average low is 28. If you did it at night, you might be able to get away with it.
Yeah, well, that would be the other thing. You'd have to do it at night because it's the Strip, and you'd want all that behind you.
Yeah,
So that would be kind of 2 scenic things that I'd like.
I'd want something with the mountains in Denver as the backdrop, like the Rocky Mountains as the backdrop for it, right behind, like Red Rocks. Going to the Red Rocks would be cool.
Going to a Rockies baseball game where they're in the backdrop.
Okay, I was talking about the Red Rocks.
You mean like an outdoor hockey game in Denver? Man, who would think that craziness could ever happen?
A little too insane for your small little pea brain.
You were so concussed there.
No, when he said that, I'm like, you can see the Rockies when you're sitting at a Rockies game.
Fair.
I think Denver has
in my
had an
mind, I
outdoor
was
hockey
thinking
game.
like literally next to the
okay.
mountain. You were thinking like as the skyline, almost
like,
kind of a view.
I've been to the Rockies game. I know I've seen that before. It is special.
Whatever you say, man.
Because I'm still just I'm on that Rocky Mountain High still. All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service X line to get involved in the show. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll play a game of in or out. But next, Blaze Jordan has already outproduced what Nolan Gorman had done over the last few weeks. Is this going to change the look of the lineup longer term? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. All right, a couple things to get to before we talk Blaze Jordan here in just a moment. I've got the top 5 markets in front of me for the USA versus Paraguay game on Friday night.
I saw this.
Since Alex has already seen it, T-Bone, can you guess some of the top 5 markets?
Well, it wouldn't be brought up if SLU wasn't in it. So I'll say St. Louis is one of the top 5.
St. Louis is tied for 3rd with 2 other places. Right. So they are in the top 5. They are tied for 3rd.
Chicago up there?
Chicago is not.
Stupid Chicago. Boy,
they got better things to worry about.
I would have thought that would have been one of them. Los Angeles?
LA is not. I'll give you 2 more guesses.
Oh, my goodness.
Come on, T-Bone, you're better than this.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Atlanta?
Nope. 1 more.
This is terrible performance.
You
look like Spain right now.
New York is also not in it. The top 5 highest rated markets for the U.S.'s first game in the World Cup against Paraguay. Number 1, Kansas City with a 9.2. Number 2, Boston with an 8.6. Number 3, tied between 3 different markets, San Diego, Dallas, and St. Louis, all at a 7.3 rating.
Dallas was the one that I knew immediately. Before I looked at it, you'd figure Dallas and Kansas City.
Yep. I should have known Kansas City, and I should have had a good tell on Boston.
Is
I know
Missouri
Boston
the soccer capital of the United States at this point? Between KC and St. Louis. I mean,
St. Louis has a very rich history in terms of soccer players that have gone professional.
The captain is from St. Louis.
It's always been that way, to where just St. Louis is a place that you just kind of tie into the soccer background. Kansas City, I think, is growing into that now with kind of their exposure with soccer and what they're doing.
Last 10 years, it's really exploded in KC.
I think Missouri is probably as close to it as you can think.
All right, the second thing that I wanted to get to before we talk Blaze Jordan, the National League All-Star votes, the first round has officially been released.
Pedro Pais, forget your Pedro Pais.
He is among the top 10 at the catcher position. He is at 10th with 70,000 votes. Unfortunately for him, the top 2 are Drake Baldwin and Will Smith with 900 and 600,000 votes.
Who's spending 70,000 votes on the guy?
Make it his family.
That's a lot of people, man.
He is currently the 3rd catcher on the St. Louis Cardinals and is 10th among National League catchers.
Do you think you have 70,000 friends and family that would vote for you if you were on that?
Not a chance.
I don't think I would either.
So unlikely they get a catcher. At second base, where do you think Cardinals second baseman J.J. Weatherholt ranks among the vote getters?
I think he's top 3. I'll say 2nd.
I'll go 4th.
9th. Ooh. 148,000 votes.
Name recognition.
Ozzie Albies at 1 with 500,000. Bryson Stott is 2nd with 400,000 votes. In front of J.J. Weatherholt are Bryce Terang, Hyesung Kim, Luis Arraez, Brandon Lau, and Ketel Marte, along with Xavier Edwards. All right. Shortstop position. Where do you think Mason Wynn currently ranks among NL shortstops?
10. He's going to be lower than
I feel like this is going to be higher than Weatherholt because of all the highlights defensively. I'll say 7th.
8th. 100,000 votes for him, but there are 2 that have more than 500,000 votes at the position, C.J. Abrams and Mookie Betts.
Yeah,
at first base, where do you think currently Alec Burleson ranks?
8th.
6th.
5th. Alex, you're getting pretty good at this.
5th?
Alec Burleson, 5th among National League first basemen. Top 2, though, are Freddie Freeman and Matt Olson. They both have 800,000 plus votes.
Man,
Bryce Harper is 3rd at 650,000 votes. Nobody else with more than 200,000 votes.
Where's Nolan Gorman?
Third base.
10th.
No Cardinals in the top 10.
Good. Oh, damn.
Designated hitter, where do you think Ivan Herrera ranks among National League hitters?
I'll go a little higher.
I'm going to go 4th.
I'm going 6th.
5th, right in the middle.
What is this?
100,000 votes for Ivan Herrera, but there are more than 1 million votes for Shohei Ohtani and 800,000 votes for Kyle Schwarber. So those are the top 2. All right, last one here. Outfield. There is 1 Cardinals outfielder on the list.
And it's Lars Nootbaar.
In the top 20 is Jordan Walker. Where do you think Jordan Walker currently ranks among National League outfielders in all-star votes?
He said top 20. It's a BK game.
Gotta be. I'm going to go top 10, so I'm going to say he's right at 10.
I'm saying 5th. I think people will vote him in because his numbers.
Well, BK's eyes just said that story.
6th. He is 6th, which would be the final one that gets to the second round of the voting for the National League. Players in front of him right now include Andy Pajes, Ronald Acuna Jr., Brandon Marsh.
What?
Okay, this
Michael
voting is
Harris
trash.
II, and Teoscar Hernandez.
My big takeaway from this, let me look at my camera. Cardinals fans, you disappoint me.
Take the voting away.
Disappoint me.
Take the voting away from fans.
No,
Guys
I'm disappointed.
behind
Cardinals fans
Jordan
should back
Walker
these guys.
include James Wood, Corbin Carroll, Juan Soto, Kyle Tucker,
God, that's a good list.
Pete Crow Armstrong, Jackson Churio.
Ooh.
He's been a stud lately.
So the guys that I just mentioned there, Wood, Carroll, Soto, Tucker, they're all right around 400,000 votes. Walker's at 437. It's going to be really tight. Get to voting. Jordan Walker deserves to be in the All-Star
Stop
game.
putting the 70,000 towards Pedro and put it towards Jordan.
Jordan Walker deserves to be an All-Star representative in this year's All-Star game based upon his performance and based upon voting. Not just getting in because the Cardinals have to have somebody. He should get in no matter what. So my plea to Cardinals fans today would be get Jordan Walker into the All-Star game. Do anything that you can to make sure this guy
So
gets in.
if he doesn't get in, how does that work?
Vote early, vote often.
How does it work to where somebody from the team gets in? Do they just
Players, coaches, and I think
so they'll
fan per
pick
vote
somebody
on it.
from the team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's how. I think it's the players vote.
As a
on it.
Royals fan, that used to be my life.
What are you talking about?
Every
You had
year.
one All-Star game where your whole team, the whole starting lineup were the Royals.
Most of my childhood was, oh boy, they're bringing that guy, huh? Okay.
Well, at least, but when we say
Typically some kind of a reliever that was like a seventh.
at least when we say, well, they're bringing that guy, ours is going to be an MVP candidate.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a lot different.
Ours won't be that.
Somebody on the text line said, BK, where is Arenado on that list? Arenado
That's a great question.
is not among...
I would think he'd not be
Is
high.
Contreras or Sonny Gray? Well,
Oh,
we don't
excuse
know.
me, third among NL third base. He might make it. He's got a real chance to make it this year. He's at 363.
Great trade high.
Yeah.
Alec Bohm at 385.
Do they have the AL numbers? Is Contreras on theirs?
I'm sure they do. I'll have to check.
I was going to say, I'm curious, because we won't know with Sonny Gray, but I'm curious with Contreras.
Contreras might be the guy to get there. He's been awesome this year.
Great trades.
American League All-Star ballot.
Like Mo. Trading all these all-stars away. Donnie's probably up there, too.
Donnie's probably going to start.
Contreras.
How great would it be if Donnie and Arenado are the two starters at the playoffs?
The Red Sox fans must really hate their team.
They not up there?
Well, they're not doing very well.
He's 6th.
Oh, okay.
And he's
Yeah.
got no shot. He's got no shot.
Okay.
It's Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Ben Rice. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
he's
not fair. Vlad's got a whole country to vote for him.
He's not getting in.
All right, each vote should be only worth half a point. What about Donnie?
The Blue
votes
Jays
away.
have overtaken this thing. They have a top 2 vote getter at catcher, second, short, first, third, and DH.
Well, Canada's got to vote for something, man. Their hockey teams
and
aren't any
their
good.
3 outfielders are 8th, 9th, and 10th on the voters.
Aren't they below 500?
Yeah. Canada's got to vote for their guys, man. The country's behind them.
There you go. So that's your update on
Pedro's got 70,000 votes.
All-Star
I'm
voting.
going to vote for him in my next round of
Pedro?
ballots. Yeah.
He'll get
And
70,000 in
Gorman, I
one.
feel bad for him.
Why? He's in
Make the top
AAA, man.
Yeah, that's the one spot where the Cardinals had nobody.
I
Well,
wanna see
technically they
something-
have somebody.
Which
It's
makes
Nolan
sense.
Arenado.
It's been
I mean,
bad.
Arenado is on their payroll, so do they get credit for that All-Star?
Yeah, does he have to wear like a split jersey?
Like he is on our payroll, and more money is
Diamondbacks
on our
one half,
payroll.
Cardinals on the
You
other.
are a Cardinal.
Coming up next, Blaze Jordan has already outproduced Nolan Gorman. Is this going to sustain for him? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. What a weekend for Blaze Jordan. He was as productive, Alex, over the last 3 games as Nolan Gorman had been over the last 2 weeks combined. No, I said something similar to that on Twitter, and people got mad because they said, hey, you don't have to tear somebody down to build somebody back up.
That's not how BK operates.
You are that guy.
That's not even what I'm doing here.
Sure.
I'm just showing, like, hey, all they had to do was not be terrible at that spot. And you would feel the impact immediately. And not only was Blaze not terrible, he was pretty damn good. 5 for 12 over the weekend, had a homer, a triple, 4 RBIs, only the 2 strikeouts. Also went for 3 for 3 with runners in scoring position. And we've talked about this team struggles with runners in scoring position in the bottom half of the order. And frankly, I didn't notice a single play that he didn't make defensively. That's not to say that he was making a ton. He had the one great play over at first base where he was able to dive toward the guy before he made it back to the bag. But other than that, just, routine plays. And he did everything that you asked of him. This is the kind of aggressive move that none of us anticipated the Cardinals making over the weekend. They decided to do it. What did it tell us, Alex? Did we learn anything about their current situation based upon the move to bring up Blaze Jordan and the success that we saw from him over the weekend?
I think it just reassures and reaffirms what my belief has been of this new regime for Cardinals. There's no waiting around to see if something gets better. If they feel like there's a guy that can perform at that position better than what they have, they will instantly make that decision. Now, I know it took them a while with Blaze, but in my opinion, I think they believed Ramon Urias was coming back, and that's why they shifted Blaze away from the third base.
I 100% agree with you.
I think they believed this guy is not going to be able to play defensively for us at third. We've got somebody who can, and then we don't have to worry about the Nolan Gorman. And then when Urias went down again, it's like, crap, we can't keep doing this Gorman thing, and you shift him back to Memphis. I mean, the thing about it, and we talked about this prior when the conversations were brought up, like, he was clean in Memphis as a third baseman. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to make highlight reel plays, but he made the plays that could come at him. And I just believe that the Cardinals said, we've got to change Nolan Gorman's position here. And they do this. So to me, this is the refreshing feeling of a new Cardinals front office staff. Because when they see something that says, hey, we can capitalize on this and make this better now, they do it. They don't wait around. I believe that in previous regimes, Nolan Gorman is still taking a bulk of those at-bats for the rest of the season because they would say, well, he's a part of the future and we want to see what it looks like. I was at that at the beginning of the season, but as it's gone on, I fell into what I think they fell into. Nolan Gorman's just not hitting. And if you're not hitting, you're not playing for us. They've done it with Scott, they've done it with Pages, and now they did it with Gorman. To me, that puts pressure on every single person in that clubhouse that says, if you don't perform, you may lose your job.
But you're also going to get a decent amount of wiggle room before we get to that place.
Yeah.
It's not as though it was a 2-week stretch where Gorman went through a bunch of struggles and they were like, all right, turn the page, time to go to somebody new, and we're just going to keep cycling through until we find somebody. No, they gave him a real chance here. It's been 2 months since the start of the season, and eventually you have to say it's just not happening. And it felt like it was getting worse before it got better. Like, he looked, we mentioned this on Friday, and clearly the Cardinals felt the same way. He looked lost at the plate to the point where he had no confidence that anything was going to turn for him. And so eventually, for the sake of the player, you've got to take them out of their own misery and say, hey, we got to do something different. Whether that was a benching and, hey, work away from the field for a few days, or going down to AAA, and it sounds like they're going to have him like working away from the field down there as well for a few days before they get him back into some game action. This was necessary. They also had a clear alternative. Now, do they think that Blaze Jordan is a long-term third baseman? I'd be surprised. I don't think so. I think you're probably going to feel the defensive lapses at times where you don't have that range, even that you had with Nolan Gorman, which wasn't great range, but it was good enough. So I think you'll feel that eventually. If he's able to even be a major league average hitter, though, the upgrade offensively at that position from what you were getting to what you would then be getting is enough to make up for the lack of defense. And you'll just live with that. It's similar to the Jimmy Crooks conversation. Crooks does not have to be great offensively, even if he's below average defensively. Just be decent. Just be around a league average hitter. And because of what they're getting right now, as T-Bone mentioned earlier with their 1-4, you can live with that. Because all you need from your really 6 to 9 right now Guys, be tough. Be tough at bats. Be right around league average when it comes to your production. That's good enough. That's what the great teams across Major League Baseball have. And finally, the Cardinals may actually have that in the bottom half of the order.
I just think it's such a pivotal DNA piece to have in your roster, your organization, that you will get the trust of the organization to figure it out. But there also is rewarding internal competition. And as a player, I want to go to a team that rewards what I'm doing. Whereas it's not what in the past has been. It's like, hey, you're the guy that's supposed to get here, so fix this. And that's where I feel like things have shifted a little bit. It's like with Velasquez, with Crooks, with Blaze Jordan, on the pitching side of things, what Leahy did last year. If you can show us that you can actually accomplish what we need at this position, you're going to get the opportunity to do so, and you're going to get the wiggle room when you struggle to fix it. But there's only some sort of lifespan that you can handle before we make changes.
I also think it's a sign that they believe in what they have right now as a team that can potentially be a playoff team. Because if they were the Rockies, for example, 27-45, I'm not convinced they make that move with Gorman. I think they look at that and go, yeah, it's not been great, but, like, come on, we're in a rebuild. Like, who's the guy that we think is a long-term third baseman? The answer, I think we all agree, is not Blaze, so we'll just stick with Nolan, right? And we'll see if he can figure it out at the big league level, and if he doesn't, then we can reassess at the deadline or in the offseason. But because I think they truly think that this could be a playoff caliber team, they're operating like a playoff team would, which is, yeah, you get some runway, but when you don't take advantage of that runway, if someone internal's able to do that, yeah, we're going to churn through it. Even if that means we're sacrificing a little bit of defense at third base at the hot corner of Blaze Jordan. He can be average. Like, we can live with the bad offensive upgrade. Same with the catcher position. Like, I think these moves, yes, they do also kind of coincide with the way that they talk about how they're always planning for the future. I also think they're moves that are, hey, this will help us for the now as well. And we think we've got a decent team here that could potentially be a wild card team.
2 texts to get to real quick. We'll get to in or out on the other side. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. This one comes from the 314. Guys, just say you were wrong about Jordan playing third. You can play back the tapes. Quote, he's not a third baseman, end quote. We can play back the tapes. That's exactly what I said. And the Cardinals told you that. Mm-hmm. The Cardinals told you that with the way that they were operating with their lineups in Memphis. At the time, the word coming from the Cardinals organization, we're not the only ones that have said this, it's happened everywhere, was that guy's not a third baseman. He's unplayable there. And something changed. I would say multiple somethings. One, Gorman didn't just continue to go into a slump. It got worse to the point where he became unplayable at the major league level. They looked around the roster and did not view any of the alternatives at the major league level to be viable starting third baseman. Then you look down to the minor league level. They had Ramon Urias coming back from injury, as Alex mentioned. When he got hurt again, that's when you saw something change. And the Cardinals flipped their tune and said, you know what? Let's try it again. They got like a week of him getting some opportunities at third base and said, you know what? We can live with it. Whatever. I think eventually you get to a place where you can convince yourself anything can work if the alternative is one of the least productive hitters in Major League Baseball. And that's what Nolan Gorman had become this season. So do I think he's going to be a third baseman long term? I do not. I don't think anything has changed in that regard regarding Blaze Jordan. I think he could have a future on the team, and he could occasionally play there. But I think you're more likely to see him long-term as a first baseman or a DH with occasional opportunities at third. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If the guy can hit, they'll find a spot for him to get into the lineup for them. But I don't think much has changed in terms of his ultimate long-term future with the team. Did want to get your guys' thoughts on this, though, from the 386. Guys, the Cardinals have now done enough tinkering with their 5-9 hitters, and it appears to be working so far. But what about the pitching? You shouldn't be losing games when you score at least 8 runs, and we should not be losing games after leading late in the game either. Derek Gould had a piece earlier today. He seemed to indicate that's next. They've done the position player side of things. I would say this is the deepest the Cardinals roster has felt in, 4 years on the major league side of things, position player wise. I think there's going to be a move or moves coming in the bullpen, maybe even today. Do you guys think that's coming? And if so, what do you think is the most likely move to bolster that bullpen?
Well, after reading Derek's piece, I mean, for me, Gastelum would be the most obvious one that you'd go to, and Roycroft would be the one that you just say, okay, look, we've given it a shot. you just DFA Roycroft and then you put Gastelum on that roster. That would be the move that I'd look at, because it's a fresh arm who I think it's 12 2/3 scoreless innings that he's pitched for Memphis lately. So that would be the one for me.
I think they will. I think they'll bring up Gastelum, or who's the other one?
Rajcic was the other
Rajcic
one.
is the other one. I think one of those two guys is coming up. I lean Gastelum. Do you have breaking news?
I have a suggestion.
Oh, okay.
It's different, but go ahead.
When you
T-Bone.
raised your hand,
Sorry.
I thought there was breaking news.
like, oh, that was timely.
Boy, this would be great if we just called Gastelum's called up. No, I just think it's one of those two guys. Now, I actually think the bullpen's been fine over the last recent stretch.
It has.
It's more of the starting rotation that I think would have this conversation, but I don't think they're replacing any of those guys. Bullpen arm, though, I do think they'll make a churn.
What's your suggestion, Brandon?
What if they made a move in the rotation?
Like?
What if they brought up Quinn Matthews and decided, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. Quinn Matthews is going to be a starter for us. He's been awesome lately down there at the AAA level. And he's going to take the spot of Kyle Leahy. Kyle Leahy, we appreciate everything you've done. It's very clearly not working late into games, though. And we think you are best served as a multi-inning reliever for us. And you can get out righties, you can get out lefties. We've got an opportunity for you to be able to help us, give us length in the bullpen. And we're going to DFA Justin Brule because we don't love what he's done for us this season. T-Bone has been asking for him to go away. So now's your chance. We're going to bring up Luis Gastelum. He's going to take the spot of Chris Roycroft. That deepens the bullpen a little bit. And then we're going to flip Kyle Leahy to a bullpen role. And Quinn Matthews is going to get an opportunity as a starter for us for the next month. So that way we see what we've got in him prior to getting to legit trade deadline discussions.
I'm all for it. If you're going to actually do it for the entirety of the month, Hunter Dobbins would be the other one that you try and do.
They can't now because they sent him down, so it's got to be 15 days.
Because he'd be the one that I would have argued you do that with before you sent him down. Find out what he is for the entire month before you decide. So if you want to do it with Quinn Matthews, great. I know his strikeout stuff's been great. He's been really good lately. I'm all for it. I think Kyle Leahy is a bullpen arm. I think Matthew Liberatore is a bullpen arm, but we could talk more about that at the trade deadline.
Last two starts for Quinn Matthews, 6 innings in each of them, 0 earned runs, 15 strikeouts, 2 walks in total.
I will say I don't think they do it, though.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't.
They're going to keep going with Leahy until they hit the deadline and then make those decisions.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think it's one, I think they still want to see a little bit more from Matthews because it's truly 2 starts. You go to the start prior to that, it was 4 innings and 3 walks with 8 strikeouts. But I think they want to go a little bit longer on him. I also think it's everything they keep saying about Leahy seems to suggest they still want to try this with him in the rotation. So I don't think they would do it. I think they go a little bit longer. And then I think if Matthews continues to pitch well, then maybe they get to that conversation here over the next, 2 turns through the rotation, maybe 3 turns, or they go to Dobbins, right? They seemed very pleased with what Dobbins did. I could see where they go Dobbins first, call him up, he starts and move late. Yeah, wait the 15 days, and then Leahy goes to the pen, and then they'll wait on Matthews, and then they'll try and figure out what the best path is for him.
I think Matthews is going to be like a Baez. It's going to be a post-trade deadline conversation of, okay, you got that extended run. Now let's see what the roster looks like after Heim makes his decisions, or maybe makes his decisions based off of those guys' performance.
I was about to say, to me, they only have 2 weeks after the All-Star break. So you basically are talking about 2 starts there prior to the trade deadline for any of these guys. I would just, if you're going to potentially add a starter at the deadline, I would like to see what Quinn Matthews has to offer prior to that moment. Because we've seen it with Dobbins. I think it's decent. It's fine. I don't know that he's all the way there yet, but there's something there for sure. We've seen it with Bryson Motts briefly. Maybe there's something there for you as well. I think Matthews remains the guy that has the highest ceiling out of that group, though. And lately, you've actually seen it for him. So it doesn't have to be today. But at some point, I would say in the next 2 weeks, I would like to see him get that opportunity to go a couple of times through the rotation, find out what it is. If it's great, awesome. If not, well, you can turn your attention to Dobbins. You could turn your attention to Bryson Motts, and then you could turn your attention to the trade deadline. But that is one other alternative that I would like to see. I think the most likely scenario today, though, you see Gastelum come up, and you DFA Chris Roycroft. I think that's the most likely thing to happen.
Yeah, that's where it'd be mine is.
I would agree with that. And I think on the Matthews one, just real quick, my guess they continue to stretch him out because he's only covered 162 innings at the AAA level in 3 seasons. My guess you continue to stretch him out, and I wonder if they have the conversation between him and Motts at the end of the year of, okay, let's bring them up for the bullpen role, get them some experience there, and then we can have the conversation in the offseason.
That's T-Bone. He's Alex. I'm BK. Coming up next, in or out here on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's BK, and it's time for you to unlock your inner champion, and you know where you can do it. It's at Victory Men's Health. If you haven't checked them out yet, what are you waiting for? You can do so online at victorymenshealth.com. That's the easiest way to book your first appointment. You should do so by putting in your name, email, phone number, tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you, and then you can tell them what it means for you to unlock your inner champion. That first appointment is going to be where you're able to get all of your different levels checked for you, and then you'll have a consultation with a licensed medical provider. They'll tell you, all right, this is where we think you're low, this is where you're good. And then they'll find out what you think your inner champion looks like. Maybe that's low testosterone symptoms you've been feeling or weight loss goals that you're trying to meet. For me, it just meant finding out where all my levels were at and then supplementing in the right ways, finding out exactly what that looks like over a personalized plan. And they put that together for me. They can do the same thing for you. Check them out today. Again, victorymenshealth.com is the place where you can go. They've got red light therapy programs. They've got micronutrient testing. It's all available today. Victory Men's Health and online at victorymenshealth.com.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. Cardinals back in action tonight as they return home to start a three-game set with the San Diego Padres. 6:45 will be first pitch. Dustin May will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are in or out here on BK and Ferrario. Guys, in or out. The Cardinals will have two different players this year that have more than 100 RBIs.
I'll say in. Between Burleson and Walker, I think those are the two. So, yeah, I'll go in.
Screw it. I'll say in
yeah.
as well. I don't see that top four slowing down much. So, yeah, I'm in.
I'm in as well. Walker and Burleson both are going to be able to do it.
What's Herrera at?
They're only at, he and Weatherholt are tied right now with 31. There's a bunch of other guys that probably finish in like the 75-ish range. That used to be where the Cardinals leader would be.
75 might be pushing it for the Cardinals leader.
Yeah, like last year, 2025 regular season, Wilson Contreras led the Cardinals with how many RBIs?
77.
72.
Pretty close, 80.
Oh, man, I thought about 80. I felt that was too high.
Yep. 2 years ago, Burleson led the team with 78. So for them to be able to get to this place with multiple guys on pace for more than 100, pretty damn impressive. Alex, what do you got for us?
Guys, in or out, the Carolina Hurricanes don't make it past the first round next year.
Out because they always seem to get a little further than that, but I do not think that they're going to be back in legit cup contention.
I'm with BK. I'll say out. I think they'll be able to get past the first round. I don't think they're getting back to the cup. I'm not even sure they're getting back to the Eastern Conference Finals,
The best thing that the Carolina Hurricanes have going for them is that they're a part of the Metro Division. Because all of the coming teams, the Buffalo Sabres, the Montreal Canadiens, Boston, if you think they are, they're all in the Atlantic. So Metro is always there for the Hurricanes. I'm out on this. They'll make it past the first round. The second round is where things get a little bit more difficult for them.
Guys, in or out, Joshua Baez will be the next top 10 Cardinals prospect to be recalled.
Ooh, let me look at their top 10 prospects.
Top 10, I can run through it for you real quick. Liam Doyle, Rainiel Rodriguez, Baez, Senja, Bernal, Quinn Matthews, Brandon Clark, Tico Roby, Tanner Franklin, Ryan Mitchell.
I think the only one that's an option beyond him would probably be Quinn Matthews. Leo Bernal, I mean, in a different world, could be that guy, but they have too many catchers. They have too many catchers on the roster. So I'll say out, because I think it's going to be a while before we see Baez, and I'm going to hold out hope on the Quinn Matthews trade.
Yeah, I'm out because I just still don't know where he's playing unless an injury pops up.
Who do you think it'll be?
I think it'll be Matthews.
Yeah.
I think the pitcher is going to be more of a necessity before the outfielder.
That's where I'm at. I would say out. I think it's Matthews. I think for Baez, you need Church to fail and Scott not to hit at AAA for them to maybe get to the point where they say we'll try him in center. And I just think it's probably a quicker path for Matthews because there's less pieces you got to move out of the way.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. From the 636, guys, in or out. The Blues will acquire a player on draft day via the draft or trade that will start next season with the team. So somebody that they acquire on the day of the draft will start next year with the team.
I'll say out because I don't know if it'll be on the day of the draft. I think if a trade happens, it's after the draft or before the draft. I don't think it's going to happen the day of the draft.
I'll say out.
I'll say in. I think they're going to make a move prior to the draft. I could see where it's the day of, and it's maybe a buy move or a change of scenery candidate like Cairo that they end up getting an NHL player back in return. I'll say in. I think they will make one of those moves.
From the 801, in or out, Texas Tech leaves the Big 12 for either another conference or to be an independent. Out.
I'd say out. I think you're too scared to do that.
Too much money involved with being in the Big 12, and they're not Notre Dame to go independent.
You need that financial backup.
Who's taking them?
Everybody else is upset about them.
SEC ain't taking them.
The independent is what they'd go, but you're not financially capable to do that.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. Guys, in or out, the Blues make a trade this offseason with the Ducks. There's been a lot of smoke on that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you revisit conversations at the deadline, and the Ducks really wanted Colton Parayko. They really probably wanted Robert Thomas, and I believe both of those are probably dead now.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong on who's creating the smoke.
David Pagnotta.
Yeah.
I've seen it elsewhere, too.
I've only seen
Pagnotta bring it up.
That's it. And look, Pagnotta, great guy, provides content, good interview. I don't know how much I trust
I
that
think
report.
Mason McTavish is what you're talking about here, and I don't think Anaheim's just giving up Mason McTavish for a low price. I think they're going to say they're going to treat McTavish the same way the Blues treated Robert Thomas. Pay us a big price, and we'll think about it. Otherwise, we'll run it back with him because he's 23, he's $7 million, and we think we can get more out of him.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from Chairman of the National Swingers Convention.
Okay. T-Bone, you should give him a call. T-Bone should give him a call.
In or out, Cardinals trade Bernal and Blaze Jordan for either a third baseman or a starting pitcher.
Out. Blaze might be their answer third for this year, and I don't think they would trade him in season to help improve the team. Bernal, I could see being traded to help them upgrade the rotation, but I don't think they're going to move Blaze, and I just don't see a third baseman that's going to be on the market they'll want.
Yeah, and I don't think any of those are at the deadline either. I think those would be more off-season moves.
Agreed. In or out, Alec Burleson will be the Cardinals' best hitter by the end of the season.
Out. Walker.
Yeah, I think I'm out. I think it's going to be Walker. I think he's the better hitter already. I think he'll stay that way.
I think so too, but
he's second.
That's not to say anything or speak ill will of Alec Burleson. The guy's awesome.
No, I think your top three are going to be Weather, Holt, Burleson, and Walker.
I think what's most impressive about Burleson is his consistency. I know he's going on a tear right now, but that guy it's consistently a 290-ish hitter every year and almost every month.
Think of this. Look at what his numbers are when you take a look at that baseball reference page. And remember, he's the fifth worst hitter against left-handed pitching in the last 3 years. So that just tells you how much damage he's doing against right-handed pitching in that time frame.
This year against right-handed pitchers, you know what his average is?
Isn't it like 310?
330. On-base percentage of 405, OPS over 1,000.
Wow.
I'll live with the struggles against the lefties if that's what I'm getting against the righties.
They're bad, aren't they?
195 average and a 480 OPS. It ain't great, but
who cares?
Yeah, he's that good against right-handed pitchers. BK and Ferrario coming up next. Rewind next.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends at Classic Air Care, the HVAC company that has been making people comfortable since 1926. And now that we're getting into that summer weather, it's time to make sure that your HVAC system is up for the task of this hot weather that we have coming our way. And that's where Classic Air Care comes into play. I'm a part of their maintenance agreement where twice a year, they come out, they'll check it in the fall and the spring, make sure it's good. But here's the best part about this maintenance agreement. When issues pop up, whether it's in the winter or summer like this, you call Classic Air Care. They check that you're a part of the maintenance agreement. You get priority scheduling to get somebody out there to check whatever issue that you may have. It comes in real handy when you get those 100-degree days and you need something to fix that HVAC system. So you can call them today to schedule that maintenance agreement, to have them come out and just check your older unit, or maybe you got a new one that you just need to upgrade. They've got financing options for you to do so. So call them today. Schedule online. Just do me a favor and tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. Classic Air Care and classicaircare.com.
Hey, this Friday, TMA, along with our radio friends from all 5 Hubbard radio stations, are set to team up to fill a truck for Operation Food Search with the support from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and the Happy Roof Company. Stop by the station on Friday morning. TMA will be heading downstairs. They're going to be broadcasting live out front in our parking lot. They'll do so from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., and they'll be collecting canned foods and non-perishable food items. We'll be handing out donuts as well from Donut Drive-In while the supplies last, and everyone who stops by will have a chance to win a $500 grand prize. Now is a critical time to support a summer. See a big drop in food donations. Check them out on Friday morning, 7 to 11 a.m. with TMA and 101 ESPN. From the manager, Lou Brown, BK and Ferrario next. Who has this been? Yeah, this is the rewind. I apologize. That was awkward.
It's been the rewind for 2.5 hours, and now we're getting to BK and Ferrario.
Yeah. If you guys missed anything from the show, though, check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
Cardinals back in action this evening. T-Bone, you said Giolito not officially announced as the starter for the Padres?
Yeah, I don't know what the Padres are doing because ESPN shows that he would be the probable, but they said on the broadcast yesterday, and I see it on the MLB app, TBD is getting the start for old San Diego Padres.
TBD, the most dangerous starting pitcher.
I don't know if Giolito's going on the IL. I don't know if he's getting pushed back. I don't know if they're just having an opener. I don't know what they're doing. But our lineup's out.
If Giolito gets the start, I would imagine they're going to pack this lineup with lefties. Is that what it looks like, T-Bone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my guess is the Cardinals are of the belief that Giolito is going to be the starter,
didn't fall
or
for
will
TBD.
get the
Bulk
innings after some kind of an opener. That would be my assumption. Maybe they're going to go with a lefty to start things off because they know it's going to be Weatherholtz and Burleson in the first inning. Guarantee at least those matchups for a lefty. I could see that making some sense for them.
Yeah, I guess that could be what they do.
Cardinals lineup is out, though?
Yeah, it is
Okay.
out. It's what turn off your radio if you're going to be playing the lineup game in about 3 minutes. But it looks a lot like it's been in the past. It's the same old lineup.
Okay. Reason I ask, that would suggest that there's not going to be a roster move today then, right? Because typically they announce those before they send out the lineup.
So they're probably going to wait
no Gastelum.
until they come home for the roster move, I would
they're
imagine.
home.
They're home.
Oh, they're home now?
Yeah,
I thought they were in
tonight
San
they're
Diego
back
for
home.
this one. I thought they were in San Diego still.
Ferrari, you may want to turn on your TV at 6:45, not 8:40. They will be almost
that's
done
fair.
at that point.
That's fair. That would make sense when you check the time. It was a 7:10
Wow, they're
first
the ninth
pitch.
inning in San Diego. That's weird.
I missed an hour of this already.
Back home for the next 3 days before heading out to Kansas City this weekend.
That'll be an easy
road
3-win.
All right, relax, everybody. Who you guys got tonight? Cardinals or the Padres? Dustin May on the mound and maybe Lucas Giolito on the mound.
Just Dustin May on the mound, I seem to always just lean towards win. So the way the offense is rolling, I'll say they win 7-3.
5-4 May, 6 innings, shutout, and then the bullpen makes things interesting.
That would certainly get some kind of a move tomorrow, potentially.
Damn.
I've got the Cardinals winning this one as well. I'll go 8-5 for the Cardinals.
Damn.
That might lead to a move too tomorrow.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We'll break this thing down for you tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane is next here on 101 ESPN.